This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today we have a good friend of mine, Ramsey Green, on the show. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Alex. Glad to be here.
Ramsey is a first-degree black belt under Queixinho in Arizona. He's a former owner of Always Forward BJJ out of Tucson, and right now he is one of the head coaches at Aries, Arizona, in Mesa, Arizona, with Paul Nava. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So
Tojo's here.
And this guy. Everybody knows Tojo's like my Labrador. You know, you open the door, he jumps in the truck. Oh gosh.
And everyone's happy to see me.
Yes. Everybody's always happy to see Tojo. Awesome open mat today. Tojo, you missed it because you were out hunting.
Yep.
But man, it was some monster rounds today.
Yeah, we had a good one. We had, I guess I didn't count, probably a dozen black belts on the mat.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was pretty good turnout.
Yeah, it was. So we've been trying to do like a all Aries, open mat thing for a couple of years, but it seems like the only ones that really participate right now are me, Paul, and Kray. So I mean, we'll keep it going. But
Q did one last year.
Yeah, Q. There was it last year or the year before. He did the very first one. It might have been the year before.
I thought it was 23. I don't know. That was a good one.
Yeah.
It was consistent, one every month for a little while there.
Yeah.
But they're
awesome. I love, Paul's wasn't awesome. I almost died at Paul's.
What? What do you mean you almost died?
Because it was like 500 degrees in there.
That's what makes it awesome.
Which one was that? Because I'm thinking about the other ones.
I remember having to go into the second room because it was so freaking hot.
Dude,
humid.
The second room felt so good.
Yeah.
It was like 75 degrees in that room.
Yeah.
It felt so freaking good.
I couldn't breathe. It was
Yeah.
so hot because it was just so humid in there with all the bodies, and it was in the middle of the summer.
It was great.
If we did it in the summer. I mean, that's not even a good idea. In the summertime there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I was there. I just can't remember exactly.
Each stroke's good for you, I think.
Yeah, I think you guys had a brown belt visiting from Colorado or something that was talking about the heat in the room.
Even recently?
Yeah.
Today, this week, Thursday.
Oh, it's been starting.
Jennifer, I think is her name. Yeah.
Yes.
I've thought about turning the AC on at my academy, dude. It's like 75 degrees outside.
Like recently, these last couple evening practices, it's like reminding me of summertime.
Yeah.
Like it is starting to.
Nothing is
heat
as
up
bad
in
as
there.
the summer.
No,
it's so
it's
bad
not
in
like,
there.
It's not like that, but it's like reminding you.
But she was like, it was negative 20 when I left. It was like, it's so cold everywhere. Like the entire state, entire country is like iced over right now.
Oh, not us. Not us.
I think it was like 75 today.
Yeah, it was beautiful today. Past 3 days have been beautiful. Well, apparently we're getting rain.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then Monday and Tuesday.
Every time you wash the car.
Yeah, no shit, right? Don't wash your fucking car.
That's why I don't ever wash my car.
Don't wash your car. But hey, man, listen, we had a little chance to talk during the open mat, and I'm very curious, and I'm sure everybody else is. I want to hear about the first jiu-jitsu class you ever took. How did that come about? How did you find it, first off?
Is this a sweatshirt one?
No. I
Sweatshirt.
Tell them about crank calling the other martial arts classes.
So, yeah, honestly.
Is it crank call or prank call?
I think it's both.
I think it's both.
Okay.
I always say prank, but basically, so my best friend in elementary and middle school, we started watching the UFC probably, I think this was 8th grade. And then we started kind of like, I don't know, we would just fight each other at his house and stuff. Like in the basement, we eventually bought boxing gloves. We started like thinking we were doing UFC. So we were not exactly training. Right. Well, we weren't learning. We were just fighting.
Yeah.
And then we started thinking like, let's just go to a place and really do it. Like we want to do kickboxing. We didn't know what jiu-jitsu was.
Gotcha.
So we're in this was like at the time where phone book, Yellow Pages, and we would go through, I guess there probably was martial arts, in the Yellow Pages.
What's the year on this?
This would have been 2005.
Okay.
That's the year I graduated high school.
So we went in the Yellow Page and we were bad at this already. We loved doing prank calls. We were just like little fuckers. And just to give you an idea about this, one time I was like spending the night over there at Matt's house, and his mom was going to order a pizza for us. And then when she called like Pizza Hut, they told her the number was on like a do not serve, like a prank call list. Like they weren't going to bring the pizza. She had to call somewhere else.
She was probably really confused for a moment, right?
Maybe, but she probably right away,
She's like my shithead son.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just what we did.
Do not serve.
That was like our hobby,
Yeah.
And so we found these, in the Yellow Pages martial arts, and we started prank calling them. And we didn't really, it hardly was a prank, but we would just call, because here was the popular guy at the time was Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
In the UFC.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And so we would call them and be like, so you're pretty good, right? You're pretty good at martial arts. And they'd be like, well, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo or whatever. Like, so you think you could fuck up Chuck Liddell? And dude, one guy kind of said, yeah. He was like, he'd be like, it'd be a pretty tough fight. And we're like, oh my God. Because we knew. We're like, I don't think so, buddy. Like, we don't really have martial arts knowledge, but just watching Chuck Liddell in the UFC, we're like, yeah, you're not just going to beat that guy. So we did that a little bit. And then we were like, we found one that said submission grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo. And like I said, I didn't really know what jiu-jitsu was. We hadn't, even though we were watching UFC, I guess we hadn't like picked up on what was what going on. So, but I said to Matt, my friend, I'm like, dude, I know what submission grappling is, because when I was even younger, probably third grade, fourth grade maybe, my neighbor gave me a book that was Jean LaBelle, like Judo Jean LaBelle, and I think also in the book was like Gokor Chivichian, and it was like a catch wrestling book. So they weren't wearing gis, and I looked at this thing recently on Amazon. I thought about ordering it just for fun, but I was like aware of it. I was like, oh, that's like, they do like Kimuras. I didn't know what a Kimura was, but they twist your arm and stuff. And I was like, I know what that is. That's kind of cool. I was like, we should call them and actually try to go.
Yeah.
So we called, and it's just like any other place. Like, oh yeah, free class, and we have a uniform for you to borrow. Mm-hmm. So we weren't driving quite yet. We were like, I think we were 15 maybe, and because we started driving pretty quick after that, but we got dropped off. Like, my mom dropped us off there. And we just had on, like, khakis, polo shirt, like our school clothes.
Yeah.
And so, like, we go in and we're like, oh, yeah, where's those uniforms you said we were going to borrow? And he's like, nope, not tonight. Like, it's our, it was like the no-gi practice. It was a Monday. Monday night was for no-gi. And I don't even really feel like we called it no-gi, because it was supposed to be, it was on the schedule as like NHB, which was no holds barred. So it was like the MMA practice.
Oh, wow.
And so we just wore those clothes, because he was like, can you run home? And we're like, no, we got dropped off. Like, I don't even know. We might have had a cell phone. I'm not sure, but it was like, whatever.
Like I'm 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah. It was just like, whatever. We can wrestle in this stuff. Who cares? And we did. And that was the first class. And there was a kid there that was like maybe 2 grades older than us. This kid named Steve Tanner was like, became another one of my best friends. He had the kind of like a red stripe through his hair. It was like a Jason Mayhem Miller.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, that was like his guy that he liked. And that's an old guy, it was kind of popular back then.
Yeah.
And so Steve was already like pretty good and pretty tough, and he beat the shit out of us. We're like, okay, we're like 15 and he's like 16, maybe 17, and just smoked us. So we're like, okay, we got to be like Steve. So we looked up to him a lot, because he's a little bit older than us.
Yeah.
When you're teenage years, like the kids are a little bit older, are like, whoa, they're cool or whatever. So it was just like that, man. We're rolling with him. We're wearing khakis and like button-up shirts, and he's like beating the shit out of us. And it was just from there we just kept going back, and eventually I think I told you that. I had to ask the coach at the time. I'm like, so what is Jiu-Jitsu? Is that where we do the kicks and stuff? And he's like, no, dude, like that's what we've been doing. Like, this whole thing is Jiu-Jitsu. And we're like, oh, what? Oh. Okay, we learned that day, but yeah, we felt like.
Were you like, I just want to hit people?
Yeah, we did. We kind of were like
punch people.
Well, and that was the thing too, is we were so into the UFC, and the guys that were like pretty popular would be like Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes, maybe Rich Franklin, or something. And there were guys that like did not really wear a gi, like as far as we could tell. So when we had the gi practices, we would honestly like kind of want to skip. Sometimes we would. We'd be like, fuck that. That's for dorks. Like we didn't understand it. Right. We're like, no, these guys don't wear those uniforms.
Yeah.
And we're like, Matt Hughes doesn't wear a gi, so I don't want to. And it was kind of like that for a few months. And I did my first tournament. I learned basically it was proven to me how you need to train in the gi. And this is kind of another interesting story. I went to so there was no tournament. This was in Montana, by the way. This was in Billings. Mm-hmm. The school I was at, the coach at the time, he was a blue belt. And he got promoted to purple kind of shortly after we started there. But anyway, Jiu-Jitsu was so small. There was like no black belts in the whole city. I don't know if at that time there was a black belt in Montana. I don't think there was. Probably not quite. Not yet. Yeah. So to do a tournament, you had to travel, you know, and maybe the closest was Denver. But my first tournament, I went to Grappler's Quest in Las Vegas.
No shit.
Yeah, that was like the first one. It was like kind of like my dad, like, for my birthday and Christmas kind of gift, like got me down there. And so we went to Grappler's Quest. And my first match was against Sean Roberts. You guys know, you know Sean Roberts? Yeah. So we're teenagers. Yeah. And he's like a tall, kind of lanky guy. Yeah. So as a teenager, even more skinny. And I'm just thinking like, I'm going to wreck this skinny dude. You know, like I thought I was like pretty tough.
Yeah. Was it a no-gi tournament or a gi tournament?
We did both, but no-gi was first. And so I had been doing like this MMA type of training where I thought like I was very just tough and conditioned and like I could just wrestle people with a double leg and just like, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking because honestly, my techniques were horrible.
Just a dumb kid.
I was just a dumb kid. I didn't know anything. And Sean, it's like I wasn't even used to it. Like I didn't even understand what he did. He pulled guard on me. I'd never even seen that before really. Oh, wow. We didn't really pull guard like in our school. Not so much. Like maybe you just start down there or whatever. Yeah. But we didn't understand like pull guard and stuff. And so he pulled guard, did like a double ankle sweep to me, came up to mount. I kind of bridged him over and he just arm locked me. And it kind of, in the arm lock, kind of swept me at the same time, you know, like that. And so I'm like, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Tap from an arm lock. It like cracked my elbow. He did it so fast, dude. Like popped my arm. And also I got like a bloody nose in that. I don't even know where that came from. But I'm just like, and it was like it was maybe 20 seconds or something. Wow. It was just he just whipped me like it was not even.
What belt were you at that? Is it still white belt?
Well, I was white belt. And I was like, went to the bathroom to clean up my nose and my dad's coming with me. And then I was supposed to do the gi division. And I'm like, fuck this, Dad. I'm like, I am not gonna do this again. I was like, I'm not good at this. I don't even understand it. I was like, I thought I was good. And then we watched Sean do that to every other kid in the bracket. Every single kid. I don't know how. I mean, these brackets were kind of big too. Yeah. So he probably had 5 more fights in that division and just tapped everybody like pretty easily. Mm-hmm. We're like, okay, this is interesting. And then I see him put his gi on with a blue belt. I'm like, oh shit, he's a blue belt already. I'm like, that kind of explains some of it, you know. Yeah. When I start talking to Sean, okay, are you doing MMA? And he's like, hell no. He's like, I don't even really like doing no gi. I just train in the gi.
Same.
And he's like, this was like one of my first no gi tournaments or something like that. And then he told me, he's like, I really shouldn't have been in this division. My coach just put me here because it was like, I don't do so much no gi. Because he, like I said, he was like way above the other kids. Yeah. Because back then it was like this too. It wasn't like white belt, blue belt in the no-gi. It was like
novice, intermediate.
Yeah. I think it still is.
I think, they categorize it.
It depends
like
on the organization. But
yeah, no, but Grappler's Quest, I think it still is. And the rule set is you got to fight everybody in the division.
Yeah, there was weird stuff. I don't even remember how they did it, but it was, I think novice, beginner, it's intermediate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, whatever, I get it. That's part of why he whipped me. But just talking to him about that, like, oh no, I just train in the gi and I don't give a shit about MMA.
How old was Sean?
I think he's just like 1 year older than me. So
really?
At the time I was probably 15. He was maybe 16. I don't think he's a lot older than me, maybe 1 or 2 years. And so I went and put my gi on because he wasn't in my gi division because it was white belt.
Right.
And he was a blue. And I went and put on my gi, and I won the gi division though. And I actually got a gold medal.
Nice. All right.
But honestly, I remember how I did it, and it was like I didn't even understand how to pass guard. People would try to arm lock me and stuff, and I would just stack the shit out of them and pass. Like I didn't really understand the real techniques of passing guard. And so I did win, and I remember like their coaches were like, "This is bullshit." And I was like,
I mean, it worked.
I mean, that's how it works. The points were scored. I mean, so it was interesting.
And you had no idea how the scoring worked. You just like were out there trying to kill a guy, basically.
Yeah, like I don't think I understood the points. Maybe I looked into it if it was on their website, but probably not real well.
Did you have to use AOL?
Yeah, dude, this was like it was
dial-up
and stuff. Yeah, it really was like that. And like I didn't really I didn't even register myself or anything. And my dad just figured it out, signed me up and all that.
Yeah.
He called me, "How much do you weigh?" Okay. He just did the whole thing. So the other thing too is when I was training before that tournament, I was kind of going to the other side of town. We had like 2 schools. And they were even more so MMA than the place I was at. We were kind of, like I said, it was like judo, jiu-jitsu, and, they had that Monday night was supposed to be kind of like, they called it NHB. But the other school was like MMA, where we just had full-on boxing practice and everything. So basically after I got that whooping from Sean, I went back home, and I was like, I'm not going to that place anymore. I'm going back to where I started, just going to put the gi on and do like real jiu-jitsu again. And, go from there. I just learned the lesson. I was like, I've been doing this wrong, training wrong for what I thought I was going to be good at.
That's kind of crazy. At like 15, you saw that lesson, learned that lesson. Cause I don't know many 15-year-olds who would.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, but he just kind of explained it to me. I don't remember word for word, but it was just like, no, you need to wear the gi. It makes you better. And I watched him in the gi, and he was just like beating everybody too. He like won the blue belt division. Sean was like dude, he pretty much, I don't know how many losses he had through the colored belts. Probably like very minimal. He hardly ever lost. He would just whoop people.
He was a badass,
Like do those very quick triangles and arm locks from closed guard. And then, and his coach too had like a similar body style. He was a much bigger guy, but he had this one coach, Bruno Paulista, and they had this highlight video. You can still see this on YouTube, I bet. They have a highlight video where it's both of them. And you're like, there's Bruno doing this shit at black belt, and then there's Sean doing it at like blue or purple.
No shit, that's cool. Yeah,
similar triangles, throw up the triangles and just stuff like that. Because they're kind of both tall guys, and yeah. So
did you get your blue belt at that school?
I did. So when I first started training, the coach was a blue belt. He got his blue belt, if I remember correctly, he got it from John Owano, which.
Awano. From the geese,
They make the geese, and they made the UFC
Is he
gloves.
one of the Dirty Dozen? Has he been around that long?
I don't think he's quite.
It's got to be one generation after that.
Like one generation after.
Yeah, he's pretty old school.
I'd have to look into it, but he's got to be at least like 5th stripe or something on that. Yeah. So John had, their thing was called BJJ Revolution.
Yeah,
that was like the thing he was part of under Rodrigo Medeiros.
I fought Rodrigo.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
How'd that go?
Yeah,
let's not talk about old shit.
Yeah, tell us how that went.
That was only a couple months ago.
No, I do remember watching that. Yeah, I just spaced it for a second, but yeah, so that's kind of who we were under.
Yeah,
I mean, so they're so far from Billings, from Montana, but that was like the team. So we had like BJJ Revolution patches on the gi, and I don't remember if it said Carlson Gracie or if it just said Rodrigo or what it said. But this guy's name was Greg that I'm talking about, by the way, Greg Whelan. He was like a judo black belt, was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu under John Owano. And I don't really remember how this came about, but like he was promoted to purple belt by another guy from that team named Tim Crater, Crazy Tim. Crazy Tim was in the UFC and stuff. You might remember. This was like, it's been a while, but he has a school in Louisiana.
Okay.
You know Josh Mancuso?
Yeah.
So Tim promoted Josh Mancuso to black belt. So long ago.
Okay.
Where in Louisiana?
I don't remember where, but his
There's only like 4 big cities in Louisiana, right?
Well, I mean, because the interesting thing, like, because Kron Gracie's in Montana now, right? Isn't his main school there?
Kron has a school in Bozeman. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then when we went to Louisiana, we trained with one of Kron Gracie's black belts. But that was up in like what was it? West Monroe. So that's like northern.
I'm just not familiar.
Does he do the white belt with the black stripe like Kron does for non-Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belts?
He didn't do anything like that with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, I've heard some stuff like that. If you go and visit and you're a black belt, you like don't wear your own black belt.
Right.
They give you
a belt. Yeah.
or something. Yeah,
That's
something
interesting.
weird like that.
Whatever. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'd wear it. I don't care.
I
I don't give a
like
shit.
whatever.
Yeah. Just wear a white belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. Give me a pink belt.
Well, yeah, I wear a white belt
Yeah,
and
I
it
don't
would
give a
help
shit.
me.
Yeah.
People weren't coming
try
at
to
me so
blend
hard.
in.
I was like, I don't know much. Take it
Yeah.
easy on me.
That's where a young kid tried to break my back.
Oh god.
Yeah, but that's like, Kron is like, I really expected him to be like the next thing because he had great showings at ADCC and all that stuff, and then he just kind of stopped competing, right? I mean, he was well within his prime.
The MMA career.
Yeah.
And then that didn't go so well, I guess, or I don't know. I haven't been following too much MMA stuff.
I only know of like maybe 3 fights that he had.
Doesn't have a lot.
He won a bunch at with we need Watson back.
Yeah,
he
Jake
remembers
would know.
all this.
Jake would
shit.
know. Yeah, Jake
but
Watson.
I think he won a couple of fights, but it was like purely jiu-jitsu wins.
Oh, he would pull guard. I remember that.
Yeah.
He would like jump into close guard and
then I think he got found someone who wouldn't engage with his jiu-jitsu and just beat the shit out of him, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is all from my really shitty memory of not really paying attention.
Yeah, I would have to look
same,
it up.
same. Yeah. So we were talking about your blue belt.
So the blue belt came. Well, just to wrap that up, so Tim Crater came. That was the first black belt I ever met. Tim Crater came up and did a seminar, promoted Greg to purple. It was a 2-part seminar, one jiu-jitsu in the gi and one MMA. And so in the gi, dude, this was amazing. He showed us the lasso guard, the basic lasso sweep, the bicep slicer, and the spinning underneath the omoplata.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the first time I ever seen how you can use the gi. We did cross choke or whatever, but we weren't doing spider and lasso or de la hiva. We did nothing that took grips really. Not to that level. So
how often do we take that shit for granted?
Yeah.
Have you ever I guess both of you guys teach brand new people. They see when you can do stuff like that and they're like, whoa.
Yeah. It's like you can just see this is dynamic. We didn't really know that at the time. He started showing us that stuff and we're like, whoa, holy shit, you can do stuff. We had no idea. So the MMA part of it, this was fun. We put on the gloves, the little ones, the fingerless ones or whatever. Yeah. Dude, he's sparring with me, Tim Crater. And he's big, dude. He's big as hell. And he's
and you're even smaller back
he's
then.
6'3", 6'4", or probably 6'3", and I don't know, 210, 220 at the time.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
I'm pretty short. And I'm a teenager at this time, and
yeah.
I didn't really grow any taller. But anyway, dude, he's boom, jabbing me in the face, pretty hard. He's like, come on, hit me and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know how to really throw punches that good. And I'm just trying to spar with him. And he's like, boom. He's cracking me in the face and stuff. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh my God.
And the rolling was kind of like that too. Throw us down, smash us, tap us out. I was like, holy shit.
And you're just a white belt.
Yeah. And so it was I didn't even care really.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't care I was getting popped in the face. It was kind of eye-opening, dang, okay, this is a higher level. This guy can just wreck us.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fun thinking about it. But so that was for a little period, that was our team. It was BJJ Revolution. And then I was still a white belt. A guy moved up. He was a black belt. He moved up to my hometown named James Gardner. And he came from Salt Lake City, from Unified Jiu-Jitsu, which was... Unified was essentially Master Pedro Sauer's school, and Master Pedro went to like Washington D.C.
Mm.
He just relocated there. I think he had like teaching the Secret Service. He had like some job like that, like kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So he went to the East Coast. So all of his black belts that he had formed in Salt Lake City, they just said, let's make this school, and they called it Unified, just coming together. So James moved up there. He was teaching like at just the little couple martial arts schools that we had. And so then everybody is kind of learning from the guy because he's the only black belt. He was by far the best guy around, like in the whole state. And he stayed for like about 9 months. So I got the blue belt from him. And then when he moved back to Salt Lake City, we just kept that affiliation. So that school for quite a few years was like under Unified.
Yeah. Queixinho did a camp there.
Yeah. They've had Queixinho a few times. And,
Yeah.
and that's where I actually had met Queixinho for the first time. Because eventually I moved to Salt Lake City and they just brought him for a seminar. This was like, it was before Aries. I think he was probably like Kyotera team at the time. I think it was
that or Soul Fighters, one of the two.
Yeah, it was like in 2013, I think.
Oh, that's got to be his Soul Fighters days.
Could have been.
No, probably Kyotera.
Yeah,
Kyo, yeah.
It was like right around there, 2013, 2014, I think, somewhere in there. And yeah, he came and did a seminar. And I knew who he was just from like just paying attention to jiu-jitsu stuff. And so that was a great seminar. It was very exciting. And I have some pictures from that are kind of cool where I was at the time purple belt and he's using me as the uke doing like the lapel guard on me and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the blue was, dude, that was like in 2007.
Wow.
And then I got my purple belt maybe at the end of like it had to be like 2012 or something like that.
Wow.
I had a big, long period as a blue belt because I got the blue in high school, and then I joined the Army after high school. And so I had these couple years there where I was like, not exactly training. I would try, but it was just not, it was.
Even less so back then, right? I mean, now, like, I feel like everybody that is in the military has like they like figure out a way to have jiu-jitsu on.
They have like a thing, but it's just not, if you already did jiu-jitsu beforehand, you're like, no, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's like not the same. It's not fun. It's not for a sport. It's not fun. It's like not enjoyable. It's just very rough because it has a different purpose to it. So the techniques that they show you are like almost kind of would work if the other guy like didn't know stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I remember learning this crap in like basic training when they first started doing the combatives, and it was like you're in the closed guard and you just like reach back behind their legs and like undo it, and I'm like,
and get triangled.
Can't fucking do that. I'm like, yeah, try that to me. I would love that. But that's just kind of, it's just different,
Yeah.
So,
What'd you do in the Army?
I was infantry.
Infantry. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was I was stationed at Fort Stewart in Georgia. And I did try to do jiu-jitsu. I went a couple times, like to a real jiu-jitsu school in Savannah, but it was like an hour drive each direction. So we'd get off, we get like released from work or whatever, like sometimes just most of the time, like too late to where I was like, I couldn't make it in time for the practice. Or if I did, like haul ass, go to the barracks, get in my truck, drive. I could barely make it there. It was just such a long fucking day that it was like not really, not even hardly worth it. It was like not fun, just being too worn out because the day would start too. You know how it is. You're in the military. It start like so early. You get to work, it's like 4:45 or something like that a.m. and then like you get done, it's like 6 p.m. and then I'd have to like drive straight from there to
ridiculous. Yeah.
So
8-hour days. What are
half
those?
the time you're not doing shit.
No, it's just like wasting time, just getting yelled at and stuff. But so I would try to do jiu-jitsu a little bit like at a real place, and it was just too hard. So I did the combatives when they had that on our schedule, and then we would just roll out wrestling mats at the gyms, whatever gym had the wrestling mat, we would just roll that out. Like I was a blue belt, so I knew I could teach the guys, and there was a lot of guys that like wrestled in high school and stuff, so we could roll. We could just do it whatever. I would show them Kimuras and stuff, but so then once I got out of the Army, I just got back into it, and it wasn't long after that we moved to Salt Lake City. So then I got purple and then brown, and then we moved again.
Wow.
So I moved a lot.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we were in Salt Lake just for a couple years, but I was just doing random jobs. I was doing some landscaping. I was doing washing dishes, just doing all kinds of stuff that but at the same time, nice thing though, I was training like twice a day still. I was squeezing this in. Like
Okay.
the schedule was working out, so I could still train a lot.
Yeah.
But it was also, we were kind of scraping by. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like a long term. We couldn't do it like that for forever. So we had to like decide what to do. And my wife's parents, they lived in Wyoming, and they said, you can come and like stay in our house and go to the community college. So then we went up to Wyoming, and our plan was like, I'll go up there, go to school, and we'll just move back to Salt Lake City. I would just go to get it was like a community college, so I was like, I'll get the associate's degree, and then we'll just move back.
Yeah.
And then my wife kind of didn't want to go back to Salt Lake. So then we moved to Arizona instead.
No shit.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So
what was it about Salt Lake that she didn't like?
Well, we really kind of moved there just because I knew the guys from Jiu-Jitsu.
Gotcha.
Like, we didn't have any family there.
Yeah.
So from our hometown to Salt Lake, I think was about 9 hours maybe. It was like the same.
Is that where you met your
distance
wife, or
to
did you meet her
Denver.
in Montana?
Yeah, in Montana.
Okay.
But I didn't know her before I was in the Army, actually. We went to separate high schools. I just never met her.
Oh, wow.
So when I came back, when I got out of the Army, I came back. I met her like pretty much right away. And then, we started dating, and eventually, we moved to Salt Lake. Because we were both like we were like, what the hell should we do? We thought about, should we go to Denver? We were thinking just like, where can we go?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I know all these guys in Salt Lake that are really awesome. Like, they're already my friends and everything.
Yeah.
So we went there, and but yeah, we had no family there. But it wasn't that far from our hometown. Like, so we didn't, it was just it was just an easy choice to make to move there. And then once we got there, we're there for a couple of years, and then I think she was just missing her family, or like we were always just by ourselves.
Yeah.
Besides me having all the jiu-jitsu friends,
Right. Yeah.
that was kind of the difference.
Yeah.
So, so I graduated I got an associate's degree, and then we were, she didn't want to move back there. So we had family in Arizona. My dad was living in Tucson. My stepmom and my little brother lived in Tucson. So then the interesting thing here, I've told people this in kind of a few different times, but like my dad was working in Goodyear, even though his house was in Tucson. He was doing a lot of work in Goodyear at the time. Wow. So we came down and we visited Goodyear, and I trained at Queixinho School, but this was
Before it was that.
It was Autos at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually went to class and I trained with Corey Kerber.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Corey's awesome.
Yeah. So I had met Corey.
He's the head coach at Dark Matter now, I believe. Yeah.
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 So at the time, I think it was Kevin was like the main instructor.
Yep.
But he wasn't there the day that I went. It was just Corey and, it was a couple of the guys. And so anyway, we were going to move to Goodyear. And not just like because of that jiu-jitsu school, but just my dad was working there. And we're like, oh, nice area. Probably a lot of places to train. We'll figure it out, whatever. But then we also spent some time in Tucson. And my stepmom and my little brother were there, and my dad was kind of saying he was going to move back there. And let's see, it just seemed easier, like, because it's smaller. And it's more just similar to kind of where we're from, smaller places.
Yeah.
So we decided to move to Tucson. And we did that. And then, like, my dad really never went back. He had kind of talked about, like, going back for work at the university hospital. And he just, like, it just wasn't the right offer or whatever. So then he got a job and stayed in Scottsdale, actually.
Okay.
And that's where my dad's at now.
Yeah.
So my wife and I were in Tucson, and we're like, this wasn't exactly how we envisioned this, but it was, like whatever.
What year is that when you moved to Tucson?
It was 2017.
Okay. And who did you train under when you moved there?
So I started training at Palatine right away because it was just close to my dad's house.
Yeah.
That because we stayed there briefly when we first arrived, and it was just like not far. So I went to Palatine. The guys were cool, so I just stayed there.
Okay.
And I actually really did at the time. I was like I'm a big fan still of. I mean, he's now made double five, but I'm a big fan of Rafael Formiga.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course Tanquinho.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, Soul Fighters, like this is actually pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking like, well, Tanquinho's not far away, so training with these guys, we're gonna end up training with Tanquinho, and he'll be here for seminars and stuff. So I was pretty pumped about that too. So I was at Palatine for 3.5 years, about, I think.
Okay.
And teaching there, and because I hit it off with Sal like right away,
He's a good guy.
I was a brown belt. I had been a brown belt for a couple of years when I got there, and he had me start teaching some classes right away, and then even, gave me a key to the school because he would go out of town for work a lot.
Yeah.
So and
He was military, I think, right?
yeah, he was. He probably still, unless he
reserves or something.
Yeah, he was like Air Force Reserves.
Yeah.
I think he's still doing it unless he had retired from that. I'm not 100% sure, but so he would do like those long weekends, out of town.
Yeah.
So I was teaching there, and I would make a lot of trips to train with Tanquinho as well, and all the guys at the time, big guys, like the Aoki brothers, like Fabiano and Ismael, and even Tiago, and let's see who else would be there a lot. Sometimes Tim Welch, Keegan.
What about Joe Graves? Was Joe Graves around at that time? He is a giant.
I never roll with him, but I feel like there was a time or two where he would be like at the practice where when I was there.
Where was Soul Fighter at that time?
I would train mostly in Glendale.
Okay.
And this would have been like at the Aoki Brothers school.
Okay.
And so Tanquinho had his school, I think, was in Tempe at the time.
He's been in Tempe. Like he's had like maybe 3 locations.
Because he had a spot right next to Bogies in that corner spot.
Yeah.
That was like tiny.
Yeah. Then he moved. He moved for a few years, and now he's in the big HQ.
The best.
I haven't been to the new
location
place.
ever.
Just seen the pictures.
Sick,
it looks
dude.
amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't been inside.
Dude, they have so much mat space that their cage, their fighting cage, looks like nothing in there.
Yeah, from the pictures, it looks that way. It's like
a little octagon in there. It's
way
like
over there.
nothing.
And everything's all decked out. It's got like Soul Fighters,
Gorgeous, man.
There's like vending machines that have like a Soul Fighters banner thing.
I walked into his second spot. Well, I consider since I've known him, his second spot. And when you walked in, he had 2 mat spaces, but they were like separated by like something it almost looked like a wall you would find like at a hockey rink, really kind of low wall, and they're separated. But you walk in and it's got all his UFC stuff, and 80cc and all. So it's pretty freaking cool. Yeah. It's pretty freaking cool.
I that might have been the one time where I went to train at his school, and I feel like I only went once because it was always in Glendale.
Yeah.
I one time went to his school, and I remember it. Like, I don't remember the school exactly though, like what you were talking about, like slightly, but I do remember rolling with John Lightfoot.
Oh yeah, John. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, he's so strong.
Wishing him a speedy recovery, man. Yeah, I think he's back on the mat.
I saw a picture where he was wearing the gi. I don't know if he was really training, but
no, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear he's back on his feet.
I did see a picture. He's wearing the gi, so it looks good. We could ask Aaron.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Because Aaron's probably more in keeping in touch.
Yeah.
But I do remember. I remember that because, dude, at that time I might have been a black belt and he was a blue belt, and I was like, oh, holy shit! I better play the right game here because I felt his grips and stuff. I was like, oh my god, I can't.
Who'd you get your black belt under?
That was under Tanquinho and
really?
Sal. Yeah. Okay. So. Just, there was Tanquinho came to Palatine and did like a belt promotion. So it was myself and the guy named Roberto. We both got promoted to black belt.
Is that something they do? Like, is it a surprise when they promote you, or did you know beforehand?
No.
And what's your opinion on that? What do you like to do?
Man, it wasn't a surprise, and actually it was gonna come. It seemed like from what I'm remembering, like Sal was kind of telling me it was coming at a different time.
Okay.
And this was a different seminar much earlier because I got the black belt in 2018, and there was like a seminar earlier in the year from Alan. I don't know. I don't want to pronounce his last name wrong, but DeLucia.
Okay.
Alan.
Yeah.
And he's the one that moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oh, Alan's awesome.
He's great.
Oh, he's so cool.
Yeah, freaking great dude.
His wife's awesome too.
Good,
great
instructor,
people.
good friend. He's the man.
Yeah.
He came and did a seminar, and then it was kind of like I thought Sal had said Tanquinho would also just come and be there too, and then that would be the day where I got the black belt. And so it was a little weird because I told my family and they came. And
wow.
Like my stepmom and maybe my dad was in town and my wife and stuff. And then like we just like didn't do belt promotions that day. And it was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, because it wasn't Tanquinho couldn't make it actually.
Right,
that was the thing. He had some other obligation or something like that. So then it seemed kind of like I kind of knew because I was like, well, it's only Alan here, so like I don't know if that's the plan anymore.
Yeah,
but it's already like at that moment.
Yeah,
so I couldn't tell my family like. Just scram, you know. Like, it's not today because like you're just gonna sit here.
Wasted your time.
Yeah. But it was something kind of like that where I don't know. It just was later on in the year that Tanquinho came and we did the belt promotion. But no, it wasn't a surprise. You know, when he actually did come, it was planned out and stuff. I sort of I'm trying to think. None of my belts were ever a surprise because blue, purple, and brown. Being part of Unified and Master Pedro Sauer's team, we did a belt test.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
You had like a list of moves that you had to demonstrate all in front of the professor. Like, I think roughly like 85 or 90 techniques.
Okay.
For each belt. Just to give you the idea, it's like it seems. I don't know. Some people would be like, "Oh my god, it's like so stupid to do a test," because not a lot of places do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The first step, like from white to blue, the first technique is tie your belt. So it's like
legit.
It starts like you need to know that you got it's all the important stuff, and then it just went forward roll, all the stuff, and I still really think that list is the most important moves I've ever learned because it's got all the fundamentals.
Yeah,
and then blue to purple is even more fundamental type moves. There's also a lot of self defense on those moves though too.
Okay,
which this is interesting because. These days we're doing so much sport jiu-jitsu that it's like we almost don't ever drill that stuff.
Right.
Like, someone throws a punch and you clinch up and do a hip throw. We're like not exactly drilling that. But the things that are so important on there, which we still neglect, is like all the headlock escapes.
Yeah.
And there's, guillotine escape. That's one for sure. We're going to do that when we're training, of course, the guillotine. But I think that's a technique that a person could get you in if they didn't even do jiu-jitsu. They could just figure out how to do a guillotine.
100%. Yeah.
So those ones were really
important.
They hurt. Guillotine. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, someone's going to just grab your head.
That was more of a crank.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, buddy,
I wasn't going to tap.
That was more of a crank. Fight, that's what you say. That was more of a crank. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
All those type of things, the headlocks, the bear hugs, someone grabs you from, behind you, all that type of stuff was on there. And yeah, we should probably do those from more often, I think.
Yeah.
And I tell people this, I always think about this. It's like, I'm not exactly worried I'm going to get into a situation where someone like comes from behind me and grabs me. I just don't go out. I don't go to bars. I just like don't really put myself in weird situations.
Yeah, good for you.
But imagine you're somewhere, like say you're at like a family barbecue and you got like that one like
drunk uncle.
Yeah, drunk uncle.
Drunk uncle.
It's just like your cousin that's like thinks, oh, you do jujitsu, can you get out of this? And they put you in a headlock. What if you couldn't? You'd look like a fucking idiot. Right? If think about like you're a black belt.
Yeah.
Someone like puts you in like a full Nelson or a bear hug, or something, and you like are struggling, you don't know how to get out of it. They'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I guess jujitsu sucks because.
You need jiu-jitsu so you don't get embarrassed at family barbecues.
Yes. That's kind of how I think about it. I'm like, no, you got to know it. Of course, it could happen in any other situation, but
for sure,
that would just kill you.
What's your thought on testing for belts?
I like it still.
Do you?
I really do.
My only problem with it is it's like I can't remember exactly what the saying is, but it's like along the lines of there is no black belt techniques. There's just techniques done at black belt level. So it's like, what are you, if you're just demonstrating techniques, it's like, well, a blue belt should be able to demonstrate everything that a black belt does.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think it makes more sense white to blue and maybe blue to purple. And then you're kind of just doing your own game at that point,
right?
When you're a brown belt and stuff. And it's like, what are we going to do? Like, 20 De La Hiva techniques and show the worm guard. And he's like, well, we're going to have to kind of put a cap on it. Like, we can't just do infinity moves on a test.
Right.
But when you just have the white to blue and you're thinking like, pendulum sweep and scissor sweep and just the closed guard things, everybody getting their blue belt should be able to do all that.
Yeah.
The way that Peter Sauer's testing would work was I think I honestly feel like from purple to brown and maybe brown to black, it was just more self-defense. Because he kind of knows. He's like, you just need to be able to show this shit really good to it was more about like, can you teach all this stuff to
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like that, like I was saying, it's like, I don't know if they're going to be able to make a test that's like deep half guard, all these intricate things.
One of my instructors, my morning guy, D, he came from the Coyoterra HQ out of San Jose, and they did testing for all the belts, and it was all the same curriculum. It was all fundamental curriculum, and you just had to execute it at a certain level, I guess. And if you failed, you failed. I mean, you didn't. Yeah, it's pass fail. That's it.
Wow.
So
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, where would you draw the line? Because it's like there's stuff like worm guard or like you can even argue that probably like even deep half kind of like falls into like niche techniques that not everyone learns or at least is proficient at, because you can get, if you just are really good at the fundamentals. Like, we know lots of examples of that, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to learn like spider guard or or worm guard or whatever, right? So it's kind of like, well, are you going to make, if you're a black belt, you have to know how to do worm guard. It's like, that's not really practical.
Right. Like, everybody's doing their own game.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals don't change.
The fundamentals don't
exactly.
change. Everybody's
Yeah.
doing that. Those moves always work.
Yeah. I think at like
Absolutely.
at a base level, I think the white to blue I think makes the most sense, because that's, I think once like that's kind of like the difference between a white belt and a blue belt, right? Like, is a blue belt kind of like at least is like semi, and we've talked about this before. It's like semi familiar with just about every position you could be in. That doesn't mean that like if I'm on a blue belt's back, he knows how to like completely defend from me, right? But they know generally like how to escape back,
what they need to do to protect themselves. Yeah.
And those are also the big ones, like all the escapes.
Yeah.
From side mount, all like I said, like the headlocks, all that type of stuff, back escape, all those things are on white to blue, and it keeps everyone like. I mean, those are so important. It keeps everyone well-rounded. So all the guys on the team have escapes. They know the correct ways about framing, underneath and escaping. And I have taught classes or I've borrowed people to be my uke where they're like a brown belt. And we're talking about, okay, when the guy starts to escape back, like I'm on his back already with the hooks in and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like just struggling.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like, push my hook down,
You gotta, like,
hip
clear
over.
the hook. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Like, and I'm like, well,
isn't it weird? You like run into people every once in a while and be like, how did you get this far without knowing this?
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes that happens where they're just kind of clueless about it, and they figure out something that is kind of working for them.
Yeah.
Because of course, if you spend enough time rolling, you put so many hours on the mat, you will figure some stuff out that's not typically what's
conventional.
taught. Like like not exactly the thing everyone else is doing.
The best way to defend the back position is to not have someone take your back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, but I've had people
slam them.
works. I've had people come in from like other schools or out of town, whatever, and I have to explain like warm up stuff for them.
Yeah.
Like Toriando passes,
Leg drags.
a
lot of leg drags. Like, a lot of people don't know how to do leg drags.
Like and you're saying, oh, get your knee shield in, and they're like, what? Crossface, and they go like put their forearm on their face, like, oh, okay, well, we got to work on that.
I have done this as, kind of for a little bit for fun, but also just in my own school when I was running Always Forward Jiu-Jitsu, and I was thinking about like what would be the curriculum to go from white to blue, because I was just thinking about Master Pedro Sauer's that list. It was like 85 moves, and I pull it up and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking like, would I take anything off and try to put more modern stuff in it? And it's hard because you're like, I don't want to take any of this stuff. It's important, Even tie the belt. I fucking hate when people tie their belt wrong.
Yeah.
And you'll see that. People are freaking brown or black belt, and they have their belt tied where it's like going up and down. And I'm like, dude, you've been
John Gorey.
You've been tying this belt for 10 years, and you've fucked it up every time.
Yeah. Derek Hale was that way also. He would he didn't care. He just tie his belt any which way.
How I got that belt from you, that from my Joey, my blue belt.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, now that I have a nice new belt, I need to learn how to tie my belt. So we were like showing him how to do like the YouTube way, like the really nice way to tie your belt.
No, I don't like that one at all.
I saw this.
It doesn't come undone. I like it.
That's the problem.
I know.
I saw this probably Instagram, and it was Sinistro. He has a school like in the San Diego area, and he had it was like a long video, the whole test of white to blue, and the way that he did it wasn't as specific, but he would say, show me 2 sweeps from close guard. So they could choose whatever ones they were good at, and
cool.
he's watching, and just if it makes sense, if it's a real move, a good move, then that's good. They pass, and so on. It was like, and he even had, it was more than just the most basic fundamental stuff. It was like, show me 2 sweeps from De La Riva guard,
Okay.
and show me whatever, some passes or so. I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's another way you could go about it, and that, in my opinion, would probably make more sense at the higher levels, the higher belts. Because like everyone has their game, like we were talking about. So I'm not like gonna say, show me De La Riva to a single leg X to sit them down and leg drag, and like it's not gonna be so specific because maybe that's just not what you do.
Yeah.
But
I think when you're, man, everything depends, right? But if you have somebody who is like looking to be an instructor, to me, I think they should really. This is just my opinion. Like, you gotta put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. Like, you got to stretch.
yeah,
So like, as an instructor, if you don't know like the difference between, single leg X and X guard and, butterfly, and how they all complement each other, well, there's a problem there.
yeah,
Right.
That's
I mean,
true.
yeah. So I think like, if you're going to be I say this a lot. If you even think you want to be a coach, start studying now.
Yeah.
Because it's, by the time you're like, hey, you got to teach tomorrow, it's too freaking late.
That's one of my favorite parts about coaching, though.
Yeah.
Like when you're like teaching something, like it's something but you just don't do.
I
a
don't
lot.
the passes we were teaching the past couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I don't do those.
Right. But then you're like, I make it a point, like if I'm teaching something that I don't do, but it's something that everyone needs to learn anyways, I just put myself in those positions and be like, trying to like prove to myself that these are real techniques.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it does fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's yeah. What do you like to play mostly? What, like if you're ideally your ideal match, how does it go?
Don't look at me.
what do I do to you? Reverse De La Riva.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I really like that, reverse De La Riva. Well, I like doing half guard,
Mm.
and then it just kind of went from there. And that wasn't always it though. I was, well, like I said, lasso. When I first learned the lasso guard from the first black belt I ever met, so I was a lasso guard person for a long time, and then I probably did some De La Riva a little bit, but like I hurt my knee and I could not even do close guard. It's kind of hard to explain, but when I tore my meniscus, it's like the tension of keeping.
I know
the close
exactly what you
guard.
mean. Yeah.
When people just try to barely open my guard, it would
you
like
got to open
it
it.
would like pop,
Yeah.
and my knee would lock up, and it was giving me all these problems. So I started feeling like I could do half guard because I didn't really have to like really flex my legs or lock them together. There was not tension because they're both kind of independent.
Yeah.
And it was it's similar to close guard. They're not as loose. People can't,
Yeah.
like when you're playing De La Riva and Spider and things, people try Toriandos and they're kind of jerking your legs around.
Yeah.
It's not really like that in half guard. There's too much connection.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just safe. So I
Yeah.
started doing so much half guard, and then that just turned into like reverse De La Riva too, and now I just love that.
Yeah.
That's
So,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I guess you and I both kind of similarly play that, huh?
yeah, like
Kind of like take turns. Playing.
yeah, like whoever's on the bottom is trying to do half guard, and we'll mess. Like I also think whatever the technique is being shown in the class, I just try that when I'm rolling.
Same.
And so if lately we've been doing Barambolo. Paul's been showing us the Barambolo.
Bolos.
And even though he had the hernia surgery not long ago, a couple weeks ago, he recovered from a hernia surgery.
He's 100 years old.
Yeah.
He always says he has a back issue. I don't know what his back injury
knees.
is. His back's
Yeah.
been bothering him lately or something.
He did it though. Paul did it.
Yeah. So anyway, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, you gotta get upside down, and he does.
Oh, he definitely pushed it off for a couple of days.
He
though.
did. Actually, this is kind of funny. He's like, looks like we're out of time. We would be like doing some De La Riva guard.
We're going to roll for 50 minutes. We're out of time.
Sweeps, and then it would get to that point where you like sit them down on their butt, and he'd be like, and we're just going to come up. We're just going to come up and get our 2 points for the sweep. And he's like, we're out of time. next week we'll do the bolo. We're like, we can do it now. You can do it now. Yeah. And that happened a few days. Actually.
Need a little painkiller.
Yeah, we were definitely teasing Paul.
Like,
so funny.
that was very funny. But of course we knew. We're like, dude, we know you just had this hernia. You have.
He was a little nervous to jump into it. Yeah.
Just get upside down. Like, whoa.
That was my first ever class.
Oh, I think you told me that.
That was my first ever class. Yeah, I was all fat, trying to invert.
The years where, like I said, I didn't train a lot when I was in the Army, I think that's when the Berimbolo was really just popping.
Yeah.
And so when I got
13,
back,
12, something like that. Yeah.
When I got back into jiu-jitsu, I was like, what? What are you saying? Like, I didn't even know the term. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I wasn't even good at daily heave guard anyway, because I was just blue belt. I wasn't, it wasn't even where I was training, like, because James, our black belt, had moved away. So our training was still mostly just blue and purples and stuff, and so we weren't so great at daily heave guard anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was like, oh, daily heave guard, then you do this and roll, and I'm like, show me the daily heave guard a little bit. Let me figure it out a little bit. And then you gotta. So I didn't know the Berimbolo, and I was telling this to Paul, I think, or someone just the other day. I did a match against Tyson here in Phoenix. And it was before I moved here. You know, I was in Salt Lake City, and I flew down for one of Gustavo's tournaments, and I fought Tyson in the second round, and dude, he was just purple belt. Yeah, he was just trying to Berimbolo me. He was like doing De La Hiva and sitting me down, and I'll just get back up. He would just like sit me down. I would like because I didn't even really know what was going on. I was like, what is he trying to do?
That was like the thing.
It was a thing, man.
Remember what was that Jiu-Jitsu magazine? Was it called Jiu-Jitsu?
Jiu-Jitsu Mag,
and then there was Gracie magazine.
I think it was the Jiu-Jitsu Mag. There's that cover that has the Meow brothers and the Mendez brothers, and it's just like all Berimbolo.
All bolos.
I might have that issue. I have.
That's a classic one.
Yeah,
dude. Just real quick. I saw a cardboard box out in the back alley behind our dojo filled with Gracie magazines, and I was gonna take it home, and I felt weird. I was like, what are these doing back here?
Like a hobo.
Dude, like, recently?
Yeah.
No shit.
And I was like, is that just trash? Are they wet?
Well, Paul had like a stack of them, and like no one looks at them.
A full cardboard box. And I was like, maybe these are like, they got all wet and they suck. I was like, I don't know. I saw them back there. I shut the door, and I was like, I'm gonna grab them tomorrow. If they're still there, they're gone.
Oh, man.
Dude, the garbage man came and got them. I was like, shit, dude. But anyway, so I had that match with Tyson, and he was trying that Berimbolo, and I was so clueless about it. He beat me. He just was sweeping me with De La Hiva, but I don't really recall. He never got my back he never did the Berimbolo, but he was trying. Yeah. And I was just like fighting out of it. Like, what the hell are you doing?
And YouTube wasn't even like a big thing back then.
Yeah.
It was, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, it's not like where now you can like just name a technique. You can YouTube it, and you could have like 10 different people show you how to do it.
Yeah. Man, so has there been like an injury or anything that happened in your life besides the Army that has made you be like, the same for me, man. I'm gonna not train anymore.
Or second guess jiu-jitsu.
Oh boy, honestly, it's some like not injuries, but you know where I would get sort of frustrated is it's kind of like it was happening a little bit at Palatine or when I had my own school, just not having that many people to work with, to train with.
Yeah.
And then I'm like thinking, cause there'd just be days where the guys I want to roll with couldn't make it. And there'd be days where just damn near no one would be there. It'd be like one person would come in and it's like their second day. And I'm like, well, we're not really rolling now.
Right.
I'm not preparing for my tournament that I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd just be like, stuff like that. Like, well, let me show you the dang, hip escape or whatever. And break falls, just whatever. So anyway, it was more a lot of stuff like that would happen where I would just feel like I've devoted all this time to this hobby or this sport, this thing where it depends on other people. Like I can't do it by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, damn, why didn't I just get more into like something I just do on my own, like riding a bike or like fishing or something. Like I just do it by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have
to play pool. You still need another person.
I don't have to like
pool.
depend on any person to help me or be there, like to train with, participate with. So it was just sometimes that would happen, and then, when I say like sometimes it'd be like it was happening enough to where it'd make me feel that way. Like, damn it, this is the wrong thing to be in.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like part of what made you kind of split ways, or?
Yeah, and move here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean that was like a part of it, and it was also just like just running the school by myself, because when I decided to make my school, I was training at the Soul Fighters affiliate, and then they had like a split up, and I don't even know a lot of the reasons there. The big Soul Fighters, like Rafael Formiga went and started Double Five, and then the guys here locally, a lot of them were not Soul Fighters anymore, and some are Double Five, and like Thiago's now Alliance and stuff, and I don't even know all the details.
He was Double Five for a minute, right?
He was. Yeah. So it seemed like they were all kind of Double Five briefly, or a lot of them, and then then he was Alliance, and I don't remember everybody else.
Yeah,
there seemed like a couple others, but they just were no longer Soul Fighters, and it was also I was making trips to train with Queixinho. I would go to Goodyear, train with him there, and it just seemed to me that from a training standpoint, like from my own personal jiu-jitsu, and then also from a business standpoint also, it just seemed like Aries would be a better team because we have like so much more bonding, like team stuff. We always do like today we did the open mat. There's like Pan Am camps, and there's just stuff we
always
do
something
together. Always everyone's getting together, and Soul Fighters didn't really have too much stuff like that going on, and especially at the split up.
Yeah.
Then it was like I don't even know. Like Tanquinho is a busy guy. He's doing this was years ago where he was still doing his MMA career, fighting in the UFC. Then maybe he
did ADCC pretty recently.
Yeah,
too.
He did ADCC recently. So he had a lot of his own stuff he was working on.
Yeah.
So I feel like he was a little busy to where I was like, I don't know how often Tanquinho is going to be able to come to Tucson and do like seminars at my school and stuff. It was just kind of weird, thinking like there's this split and maybe that's just not the right team anymore. Yeah. It was kind of weird. And I only I was only part of Soul Fighters just because I moved to Tucson and trained at the affiliate school. Yeah. I had, like I said, went white to brown from another team. Yeah. Some people asked me like, well, why don't you just affiliate with those guys?
Was Always Forward, is that Soul Fighter or was that?
No, it was Aries. It was Aries. So yeah, I thought, well, I could maybe ask the guys at Unified in Salt Lake City if I could like have an affiliate, but it also just made more sense to just be with someone in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was already, like I said, I was already training with Queixinho and making trips and even going to Paul's school and stuff. And I remember there was like one thing where it was like an Aries only thing. And I was like not part of Aries. I was still training at Palatine. And Paul was like, yeah, you can go, but like don't tell anybody. And like he's like, this is like you're like the only guy that's like not wearing an Aries patch or whatever. Yeah. I can't remember what it was. Some kind of probably an open mat or just something. Yeah. Something like that.
And it's not like we want to exclude anybody. Like our regular open mats are open to everyone, but sometimes like you want to get the whole team together, and it's just really cool to have all the other black belts that you don't, like you guys, I don't get to see you very often, even though I'm 3 miles from your place and I probably should stop in.
Yeah, I only see you every Friday.
Well, yeah, but you don't count. I'm talking about I was being polite.
I say I'm going to go every Friday.
Every Thursday I'm like, hey, tomorrow a.m. He's like, text me.
Sometimes they say, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. I told it to Danny. I'm like, I'll go.
Yeah. I say we just stop by his house.
Just go grab him.
Just honk until he comes out.
Do you have a van? Get a van. Let's kidnap him.
Yeah, I kind of didn't realize I live close to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. Scoop me up on the way.
Let's do it.
You got to talk the wife into it.
I'm usually there already, so yeah.
Well, your wife usually works nights anyway.
Yeah,
right?
she's at work right now. Yeah, she's working nights always. So
yeah. What does she do?
She is a server at a restaurant called Top of the Rock.
Where is that?
It's like a Marriott resort.
The reason you don't know it is because it's
expensive.
Too expensive. It is. It's like
you can't afford it, Alex. I agree.
Dude, I've never been there. and she works there, and I'm like, you get a discount? I think she does, but I'm like, still don't want to pay. Yeah. Well, it's whatever. It's like, I think they got like the tomahawk steaks. They got like the big stuff. $100.
We got to do that.
$100 steaks.
We're due.
Things like that. So it'd just be a weird thing for me to go do.
Yeah. Well, we'll have you over. We do tomahawks. Like we try to do it once a year, but it's been a while since we've done it. But we go buy tomahawks and we'll put them on the smoker and stuff. So we'll have you over for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you. What was I going to ask you? Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, so you kind of answered my question. I was going to ask you when the transition to Aries happened. And you're one of the more active guys in the state as far as competition goes. It seems like you do every competition you can. What kind of stuff do you like to do out of state?
The past couple of years, I've just been making the trips to San Diego, doing the San Diego Opens.
Okay.
Like they got the spring and the summer. Those are always great. And I did, recently did like the Los Angeles Open, going to Las Vegas for American Nationals I like, and Master Worlds too.
Yeah.
So I've been basically driving to all my tournaments.
Okay.
I haven't like flown to Florida for stuff. I just, we
I
always
don't
like,
want to.
my wife and I
want
always
to
just
either.
like kind of think about, we like having our own car. It's kind of fun to do a little drive as long as it's not too long.
Yeah.
So
Weather's about the same.
So we like going to San Diego the most, and then we kind of try to plan a thing where we're like last time we went to the zoo, San Diego Zoo.
It's
so we
awesome.
did that right after
Yeah.
the tournament. Actually, I think I signed up for the open weight, and then I like went and like withdrew.
Oh, really?
I'm like, I don't
So you could go
remember.
to the zoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was, it's just like, well, this is the other thing is when my wife comes and we make like a trip out of it together, she doesn't want to sit there all damn day and then go back the next day.
Who
for
does?
noogie, too.
Nobody does.
I mean, even I don't want
Yeah,
to. Sometimes I look at the
sucks.
thing and I'm like, when is the open weight division going to be? And it's like 5 p.m. And my division's done at like 10 a.m. in the morning. We're like, I've had times where I'm like the first match on the whole mat. Like,
Many
like,
times. Yeah.
Like 9 a.m. or whatever. And I'm like the first match. And then, depending on the division, I might be done. And you might win. You might have one more fight. It's like maybe not even 10 a.m. and you're done.
Yeah.
So it's weird to think about, we're just going to hang out
Yeah.
and do the open weight if your wife's there. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, I think that was the last time. And I signed up in the open and I just went back and said, like, can you just take me off that? We're going to go.
Yeah.
We went to the zoo. So we tried to like.
That's kind of nice of you to let them know because most people just don't show up.
Yeah.
They make the
Yeah.
brackets.
Start
like,
calling
shit.
you, like,
yeah.
And I've done
Ramsey.
that. I've definitely done that before too. Just
Yeah.
out of laziness, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy and I
Or you're curious how the bracket's going to be laid out. I
Right.
don't know. Sometimes, because I did that at Master Worlds one time where I knew I wasn't going to go,
yeah.
but I was just curious how the bracket was going to be, so I didn't say anything. And you can't get a refund, so it's not really money.
Yeah.
Right.
You could just email and say you're not going to make it, just so they can adjust the bracket if it's not like too late.
The two things I hate the most is one, and you probably relate to this too, being a featherweight. You get the biggest fucking guy in the bracket first match, or two, you get the guy that was in your bracket.
Oh,
in
the
your own.
open-
Yeah,
in
you're
the
like,
open
I
weight.
just fought this guy.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's.
Give me the lightweight or the rooster weight.
I beat a super heavy once.
Did you?
Yeah. I did the
When you were super heavy?
No, I was not super heavy. I was a middleweight and signed up for the Houston Open, and I fought a super heavy, and then I fought I think he was like a light feather. I beat
It was
the
Houston
shit
Open?
out. Yeah.
Oh, he was dehydrated.
I beat the shit out of that
He
guy.
was probably sweating his ass off.
He was a little bitty guy. I beat the
Houston's
shit out of him.
humid.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and so I swept the super heavy guy and passed his guard, and then I just held him down, man. I was cranking on his collar, keeping his face looking away, holding his hips down. I'm just kind of moving like north south, back to cyclone, and then eventually he locks up my leg and he sweeps me. So, but it was still 5-3, and then he's arguing with the ref like at the end of the match. He's like, "Oh, he was stalling." I was like, "You're the fucking super heavy, dude. Like, this should
You
not."
couldn't just stand up?
Yeah. You could have just lifted me right off.
Yeah, the open weight, that's a little scary sometimes.
Yeah.
I typically don't sign up for them just once in a while.
It's tough, dude.
I was doing it more. Well, this was almost not even by choice. It was just that's who would show up to the tournament. But during more the COVID years, like 2020, when we started having tournaments again in 2021, because you want to have some matches,
Of course,
and it's like
yeah.
that's who's there.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
your weight class.
The last time I did the Open was it was one of the local tournaments, and the guy who was either heavy or super heavy, he didn't get anybody in his bracket, and he saw that like he's like, "Hey, do you want to do the Open?" And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like,
Fuck
no. But I was like, fine. I was like, like when you're like, after you compete a little bit, you're like, got the adrenaline going. You're like, yeah, sure. Let's
You feel
fucking
good
go.
about
You feel
yourself.
good. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's do it. And then afterwards, I'm like, what the fuck did I sign up
Yeah,
for?
this is gonna be bad.
Well, yeah, I had a match like that. Actually, I had a match against Jose Munoz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh, he's a
And-
monster, man.
Yeah, and
Sweetheart of a guy, but he's a monster.
it was like it was the final. It was like a small bracket. This was Grappling Industries because it was during COVID where they
Yeah.
were here. So I'm like, all right.
Oh, I was at the
I
tournament.
drove from
Yeah.
Tucson and I fought.
I think I
fought
that
another
tournament,
Tucson
I think
guy.
you did.
Yeah.
I fought another Tucson guy the first round
Yeah.
and I won. And then that was the next fight was Jose Munoz. And, dude, he told me he weighed 230 at that time. Like, because I think he fluctuates a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, he fluctuates a lot.
And so he's like, oh, sorry, I'm so heavy. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have been able to really guess your weight. Like, I didn't really care. I was like, oh, it's fine, dude. It's like, it's the open weight. Like, you got to say sorry for being bigger than me. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But, dude, he's so fast for being a big guy.
He's an athlete,
that
dude.
Match, he did a double guard pull with me. And I was like, oh, what the hell? And he came up, and started passing.
No.
He's like, boom, boom. And I was like, whoa, this, like, I would never expect. I thought I was going to easily pull guard.
Yeah.
And he'd be the top, and I'd try to do my half guard sweeps or whatever. You know?
Well, you expect those guys to want you to pull guard, right? So they're just going to wait until you sit down or whatever.
And he did like a double guard pull and kind of like grabbed both pant legs and came up so quick and started passing. And I was like, holy shit. And it was a struggle. Like, I was just defending guard passes for a while. And then he passed, and I felt his, like, then I did feel his weight and his strength and stuff. And I was like, well, I just don't want to get submitted. So, I don't know if I can win this match. Because he's like, well, he passed. I would recover guard, like the half guard or something. He'd, like, pass again. Yeah. So he started, like, racking the points up. And so then it was just like, yeah, well, I'm just not going to get tapped out. You know, at least I can do that. And then I did sweep him at the end, but I think he had 9 points for 3 passes.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like, I'm not in, you know. So that was like one open weight division or one open weight match where I fought like a guy like, I don't actually know his age. I might even be older. I have no idea.
I think he's Masters 1.
I can't remember. I think he's Masters 1,
We might be the same age or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Because I've had other open weight matches. Well, I fought Parker before.
Yeah, I fought Parker.
Parker's way bigger than me, but, you know, I'm like younger and quick. And
shout out to Parker Lapp.
Yeah, dude, he's a freaking legend.
Yeah.
That was another tournament where we were the only 2 black belts that showed up.
Yeah.
And I had a bracket. I had 5 people, including myself. So there should have been 4 guys in my
4 no-shows?
In my weight class.
Yeah.
And then whatever other weight classes were there for black belts in his weight class. I don't know who was in his. But they call us to the bullpen. This was at NABJJF tournament.
Yeah.
They call us, black belts, come to the thing. Just the 2 of us. And we're like, what the hell? Where is everybody? And they ask, they're like, do you guys...
Hey, Parker.
Yeah. They're like, do you guys still want to have the match? And Parker's like, hell yeah, let's go.
He doesn't say no.
He'll fight anybody.
That's why, like I'm saying, he's like a legend. He fights any age.
Yeah. So Flavio Almeida, I think it was Flavio, that did a flying triangle on him. And
that's just mean.
Yeah.
Where was that?
It was a local tournament. It was like it had to be at the Phoenix College. But I talked to him about it, and he's like, yeah, but I'm ready for any fucking flying triangles that come at me at Master 7.
Yeah, right, exactly. Dude,
all 0 of them.
All 0 of them.
And you know what? I
don't know if that happened, but Parker was telling me about flying triangles, and for some reason Flavio comes to mind because he fought him before.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it may have been somebody different. I'm not sure, but
I almost kind of remember that, but
it's a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have
Winston Churchill said
I
that.
have kind of told people about that match like a bunch of times because I had some pictures on the wall of just my competition stuff, and then like, oh yeah, that's me versus Parker or whatever in the school. So I was telling people about Parker in that, dude, I know his little tricks, or I know of I've seen him do some, you know, he maybe has others that I don't know, but like I know a lot of what he likes to do. And if I hadn't known, dude, maybe he would have got me. Because, dude, he does.
I've seen him catch people.
Dude, he catch. Yes.
He
With
does.
he calls it a
big
suicide
Asian
guard.
guy.
Big Asian guy. Oh, I don't remember his name. I know who you're talking about. Yes. He's a pretty current black belt, like maybe in the last 3 years.
I have a semi-vivid memory of Parker catching him in something. And I was like,
because he'll do a toe hold from the back take, and
or the
and
arm
he's got
bar.
that arm bar when
Yeah.
you try to reach.
Yes.
If you go too deep on the collar, he twists your arm and he goes like this way with it, and it's rough.
Yeah, he has these tricks, and so I had seen him fight, and I know what he likes to do.
Yeah,
and so I was like avoiding that stuff. So the match was kind of interesting because we start off. I do an arm drag like to a single leg. I'm like boom, boom. And it's kind of the type where you like extend your leg, so as you're arm dragging, they almost just trip over your leg and just go like to their hands. Well, he like flopped down, and he kind of stayed there. I'm like, oh shit, did he get hurt? I was like, what the fuck?
No, he wants you to
I thought
engage.
He, like, I don't know. Like I thought something happened, or he got hurt, or hit his head.
That is literally
So
a guard pull for Parker.
I was like, what the hell?
That is his guard pull.
Yeah. So I was like, I might have even
Tactical
looked at the
turtle.
ref. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm kind of looking at him, like I just like control the turtle, and I'm like, interesting, you know.
Because you don't want to put a leg too deep, and you don't want to put an arm too deep.
I thought he got hurt, but he's just tricking me. He's like, go ahead, hop on my back, you know, because he's gonna do his arm lock, his foot lock, and he did just for me, kind of like holding him in the turtle position. He reached around and tried to lock a toe hold on my foot. I'm like, whoa, dude, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, when I was talking about where he fought the Asian guy, he fought Andre that same tournament.
Yeah.
Andre Maracaba.
Oh,
yeah. And he was doing the toe hold thing, and Maracaba was just like, nope,
they don't work on me. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Which is like whatever.
If you're not aware, he can get you though, and of course too, like I don't remember his weight, probably.
Oh,
super heavy.
Super heavy, yeah. Ultra, maybe. I mean, knocking on the door, ultra. But he's strong as hell.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, dude, if he does get me in something, I'm probably fucked because he's way stronger than me and way bigger.
Yeah.
So I played, like, I never even put my hooks in. I never really got his back. I purposely didn't put hooks in ever.
Kind of, like, stay back on his hips.
Controlled him in the turtle and just was like, I'm not doing what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And I would just, like, roll him over and get, like, knee on belly and then... Yeah, he would try to get me to go on his back, and I'm like,
you kind of get the lapels under his armpit instead of actually going underneath for the underhook.
Right.
You just kind of like
was that one at Phoenix College? Do you remember what year it was?
I think so. This was probably like, well, I think it was 2020.
Okay,
because it was like during COVID and like no one was around.
Because it was like 2016 or 17, might have been 18. Anyway, I was purple belt, and I popped my knee at a tournament, local. Me and Dan Crapata. We're rolling and my knee popped, and man, I'm hobbling, off the mat, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's too bad that so sorry this happened." Also, Parker comes up to me and he goes, "Don't let anybody fucking feel sorry for you." He goes, "You get better and get your fucking ass back on the mat." I'm like, "Yes, sir."
Dang, man.
That fired me up, man. I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this."
Yeah, Parker's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Like, yeah,
he's the man.
And when he moved away, it was like such a bummer. I mean, I hardly ever saw him.
And of all places, Minnesota?
Michigan. Well, his wife is in Michigan.
I believe that's where he's from.
Yeah.
I thought it was Minnesota.
No, it's like Michigan, like Detroit.
Well, either way,
like
same fucking story. It's cold and shitty out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's like second guessing it right now.
Yeah, he might be. It's probably pretty cold there.
Yeah.
With the polar vortex and shit.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was that was 2020. Actually, NABJJF were making like frequent tournaments in Phoenix during the COVID years because California's like restrictions were way worse or whatever.
Well, I think the first tournament we had in 2020 was grappling.
World
League.
Yeah,
World League.
And
oh my god!
You remember how much of a shit show that was?
It's not their fault.
It went until like 1 a.m.
Dude. I had people. Yes, I had white belts on the match at like 11 o'clock at night.
I was coaching white belts at like 11. I don't know if the tournament went till 1 a.m.
That was the first and last tournament I did.
That's probably when it wrapped up.
Yeah.
I remember like we drove back to Tucson and it was like probably 2 a.m. or something like that.
Oh my gosh! So you would drive back same day?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I always did.
Hell
it's only like 2 hours, but like if you're getting out at 1, dude, you're getting home at 3.
If I'm in Goodyear at 10 p.m., I'm sleeping somewhere in Goodyear. Dude. I'm crashing on a couch or getting a hotel.
It was in Scottsdale. It was up at the
Westworld. Hell no.
No, I remember like we were doing. So they did the nogi first, and I remember we were all just sitting around waiting for. They're like, we were scheduled an hour ago, and they still haven't like. Because I was with Paris Sanford was in my division.
Yeah.
A couple of other guys, and we were just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
It was. Remember, there was like a couple mats like right here, and then like way across the thing. A few like I mean, it wasn't.
They
a couple.
split it. Yeah,
there was a lot, but it was like they were so far away.
Yeah.
And I would have a student fighting right here, and then one fighting way over there. It's like not even. It's like barely in eyesight. Like, where is he?
On the complete opposite side of the
event. And then the check-in where you had the scale, like on the other side of where the person has the little reader because they wanted to maintain at least 3 feet with the plexiglass, and people are literally like putting their hand on the table, standing on the scale, like, "Wow, you're really under. Thanks."
Diet went well.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that tournament was a shit show. I remember.
It was not their fault though, man. They had
it did. They improved every time.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
I can't remember why I didn't fight at that one. I think that was probably when I had a knee injury. Actually,
Okay.
So it was just fucked up, but I had like all my newer white belt students were fighting in it, and that was exciting to me. Like I didn't even care about competing because
it's tough to like compete and coach. That's such a long day.
I got double gold in that one.
Yeah.
One in the gi and no gi. Oh, yeah. The gi I should have lost, but because I knew the rule set, I won.
Oh, I remember that.
So I got taken down, and then I got I got taken down in the very beginning of the match, and it was Jay Shellhammer. I mean, he took me down really good, and then I think I swept him. We scrambled, reversed. He ends up in my guard, and then he opens my guard, and he kind of halfway passes, and I recover, and then he jumps back in my guard, and he hunkers down, and I'm like, I'm gonna win this match.
Yeah,
because whoever scores second wins.
That's what they do.
And there's no advantages.
There's no advantages. So he thought he scored an advantage.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't get an advantage. I was like, yeah, they don't have advantages. And he goes, well, how did you win? I was like, I scored second. It's in the rule book.
Sorry, buddy.
Wasn't like Carla like pissed?
Yeah, no. He never gets pissed. Like,
no, not him. Carla.
No, that was when we fought in Fight to Win.
Oh, was it the Fight to Win one where she was all like,
she was mad at me. Yeah. But he's scrappy, dude. I
was training with Jay
during
my Soul Fighters days with him over there. Like that was the other guy I forgot to mention.
Dude, he had blood on his gi when we did the Fight to Win. I was intimidated. Like blood on it. I'm like, what the fuck? Is he a butcher? What the hell?
How did you warm up?
Yeah, I had a lot of
three dead guys.
I had a lot of good rounds with Jay, and he would be there too at that school in Glendale.
Yeah,
man.
It's such a small circle of people, man. I mean, really, when you think about it, and the reason I knew about the Pedro Sauer School in Utah is I trained at a school in Idaho Falls that's an affiliate.
Yep.
And when I walked in, it was like they were so cool. They're like, oh my gosh, blah blah, and they were like, oh, we go to Queixinho's camp. You know, because I think he had it pretty recently or whatever. Yeah. But they were like, yeah, we went to Queixinho's camp, and Aries, blah blah, and when they were so cool. Just because of that connection with Queixinho.
Queixinho is like the key to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like when I did Worlds, and I fought this Japanese guy in the first match. And like afterwards, him and his team came up to me and they're like, because they saw the Aries stuff and they're like, Queixinho, you get to train with Queixinho? And I was like, yeah, he lives in Arizona. I see him every once in a while.
Right.
And they're like, they're from Japan. Like they barely spoke English.
Yeah.
That's like, a whole world away.
Right.
Yeah. And he's in Europe right now, or doing
Europeans.
Yeah.
That's next weekend.
So, it started today.
Oh, really?
There's already matches. There's already I don't know, some juvenile or some of the maybe white belts and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was looking, I saw a couple of results.
It's in Paris.
Yeah. Paris.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the heck it is. Some juvenile blue belts or something like that. I was looking at it. But
did you see what the BJJL is doing this year?
Mm-hmm.
They're giving a trip to Euros next year.
Oh, I did read that. Yeah.
Now, is it for the highest? Like, is it like every belt, or is it just black belts?
I have to look into
adult
the details.
black belts.
Oh wait, maybe because the black belt, adult male black belt has the $5,000 or whatever it is. There's like a cash prize.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look into the details. I did read that though.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Sending somebody to Euros.
Yeah, they have, and they're. I mean, you probably have mentioned this on here because it's a little bit old news, but they have some different tournaments instead of the Copa Bella and the Masters Cup,
Grand Canyon Open. I think they came up with.
So that's the real. That's like the real change is because this is something like I think. If you don't really read and look into it, you're like, oh no, Copa Bella, they got rid of the girls. No, the girls are allowed at all the tournaments. It's not like it's just they're making a bigger tournament because they're including everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're saying no more girls. It's like, well, it's just the Copa Bella didn't have the biggest turnout, and probably the Masters Cup, and even the real change though is no gi state because
no one goes.
Yeah, like it'd be different if they we're including no-gi at this tournament too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you get rid of the Copa Bella, you're not getting rid of girls competing.
Right.
You're just including everyone at the thing that replaces it, which is the Grand Canyon.
Just like any other business, man, like, when I look at my schedule for Jiu-Jitsu, and we got rid of 2 classes starting this year because they're just underattended, and you've got to make that choice because, like, it's not just like no one in that building, say maybe like 2 or 3 people are volunteers. Everybody's getting paid, or they're being compensated in one way that costs money, right?
And renting that place out for the weekend ain't cheap.
It can't be. It can't be.
They posted, like that's why there just wasn't people showing up to the no-gi tournament. And he disclosed the numbers of competitors for the previous couple of years, or it was like, I could be wrong, but it was like 100 people.
Wow.
Or
not worth it.
150 people.
It's not worth having.
And the person who remains unnamed on the podcast, it was like, oh, no gi's taking over gi. I'm like,
yeah. It is not.
Future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see it. Everybody says, oh, no gi's the way of the future. Don't see it. I got more people.
It's flashier. There's more money to be made, like for events like the ADCC, but like Jiu-Jitsu as a whole, gi is going to always dominate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And I hope that pisses people off when we say that.
It will. They should cut that. Put that in a reel.
Steven, put that in a reel. And put us talking shit about it and saying put it in a reel. Put that in the reel too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, man.
We could go we could spend a couple hours.
Yeah. We should.
We got all night.
It's one of my favorite topics. I actually really enjoy no-gi. Like, I don't train enough because I have to I have too many fucking hobbies for one, right?
You're hobby rich.
Yeah. And I'm just at the school. I mean, you have the same problem, Ramsey. You're at the school. You're the only person that's at the school more than me.
Yeah, I'm there a lot.
So I'm like, I don't want to be there on Wednesday.
Dude, I tell people all the time, but I shouldn't. I always want to take Wednesday off.
Yeah.
Like, I always feel like I need a little rest.
He was giving me shit the other day because Tuesday, Kelsey and I went to Wilderness, and he's like, you should schedule date nights on Wednesday. I was like, well, where were you on Monday? He was like, date. I was like, you should have a date night on Wednesday.
I'm trying. Sushi, I'm trying to take a day off. Like I'm working 7 days a week. It's tough.
I mean, you need it. Yeah.
I'm not complaining. Like I enjoy what I do, but I when you're able to take a step back, like you just get some clarity. Like, when you were not in it, you make better decisions, and you're a better coach, you're a better owner, you're all of the above.
Yeah.
Oh, so, for sure. I've had that with when I first moved here, and then Paul laid out my teaching schedule. I was just going to every practice, even if I wasn't teaching, just because I love to train.
Yeah.
And
you get to meet the troops. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so, like, I teach.
You never came to my morning class.
Well, you don't count.
I have my own morning class. I have a time or two.
Wait. What do you mean you have your own morning class?
My 10 a.m.
That's not morning. 10 a.m. is not
That's
morning.
Afternoon.
That's fucking afternoon. I'm on my third meal by 10 a.m. Fuck.
Dude,
you know what? Hey, Steven, cut the whole fucking show.
Oh, God. I don't even eat till 2:00. Well, so I would I teach Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
10 a.m. And then Amber teaches Monday and Friday. So I would always go to Monday and Friday too. I would just train anyway. It's not my class, but it doesn't matter. It's the same people at 10 a.m.
Of course, support, right?
Yeah. And I was doing that for however long, quite a few months. And then I'm also doing the kids, the fundamentals, all the
I didn't know you did
stuff.
the kids too. I thought Brendan did the kids.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, I teach the little ones. So he's on the big mat
the little
with
guys.
the bigger kids, and I'm on in the small mat with the little kids. Yeah, that's tight. That's rough.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Rough, dude, yeah.
We have good days, but there's other days where I'm like, I don't even like jiu-jitsu anymore. I'm done.
The good days are so few. They're just so few.
They just have varying energy levels.
Dude, I had one of my little guys. Unfortunately, he had to stop training. He's going through some stuff. But they were jogging right for a warm up, and his pants fit him big, and he cuffed him. Mm-hmm. So they came uncuffed, and he ran out of his pants.
Oh,
and he just kept running, and he just kept running, just little shorts on, and it was hilarious.
It's that's like what the little kids class is.
Yeah,
it's just like correcting them or making them observe things that, like, why don't you notice your pants are off? Like, it's just that's like all you're doing. I mean, you're teaching them jiu-jitsu to an extent, but it's also
I think it's more discipline training.
Discipline.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think of the sensory overload, right?
It's a lot going on.
You're a new person telling them what to do. They barely listen to their parents. They run the roost. I mean, they're little, right? So, and the room is padded. They've got a different uniform on. It's sensory overload.
It feels like you're at like Chuck E. Cheese or whatever it's called, Peter Piper's, where it feels like you're ready to play and just slam into the wall because it's got padding on it. And that's like the whole point of being there.
Yeah.
You're like, buddy,
we're not doing that yet.
Class. Like I'm like the teacher. Like when you go to school, it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
But they don't exactly feel that way. So no, you know, they learn. We have a good group right now.
Yeah.
It's a little tough though because it took a long time to get them organized and teach them all the drills down the mat, like hip escape and break fall, all this stuff.
You got the little guys a hip escape?
Oh, hell yeah. But here's the tough part. It takes a long time to break that down and get them to do it. So then when we get a new kid, you're like, this is going to be the whole practice for me to just make you guys do this, you know, with this new person because I got to. And then they don't have the patience.
Right.
What age is it?
It's 4 to 7, maybe.
Okay.
Paul's brought in sometimes. Oh, you have a new kid today. I'm like, oh, where? How old? 3. And I'm like, 3 years old. I'm
Dude,
like,
we have 3-year-olds. We had a 2-year-old.
Oh,
the
my
kid
God,
barely
really?
had words, bro.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Isn't your rule like they just have to be potty trained?
Potty trained to 5.
Yeah. We had at least that 1 or 2 like 3-year-olds come and try it out, and the parents could kind of tell. It's like, they're not quite ready, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
But we have probably in the program, there might be a 4-year-old, but yeah, it's like a lot of 5 and 6-year-olds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So but it's tough with a new kid because you're thinking about safety. You gotta know the break fall. You gotta like understand how how to move and in a safe way.
Yeah.
So that's like the whole class is just going over that again. So.
Which is not terrible.
It's
not,
but
it's
boring to the other kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to keep their attention. Like it's not hard. It's like impossible.
Impossible.
To keep their attention. And because I'm like, hey, I know you guys know this, but just have the patience and let me show it again. They're like,
is the class an hour or is it
bouncing
half
off the wall, spinning in circles?
Is it a full class or is it like a half-hour class?
It's 50 minutes.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a full.
That's a lot of attention.
We do 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to think we could. I think in the beginning it might have been an hour, and then Paul said line them up a little earlier. It's too long. But sometimes I end it late because I'm still. I don't know. It just takes a while to express to teach them what I want to show them that day, and then
I've never ended it late.
Oh man, I do sometimes.
Early mostly.
Yeah.
I do end it late a little bit.
Good for you, man. That's good.
Well, it's kind of like if they're enjoying it and they're doing it right,
just keep going.
Yeah. Then you're kind of like, let's just squeeze in one more round because now I got them rolling.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And they're doing from the feet, slap hands. They just do their moves.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fun to watch, but only one at a time, like one match, one. So everyone's lined up on the wall, they're watching, and it's just a 1-minute match.
Yeah.
So then it's not too long to just sit there and watch.
Yeah. So when the kids get to 5 years old and they're knocking on the door 6, we move them to the regular kids class. So we do have some younger kids there, which is tough. But I have a teens class 3 days a week. So my teens, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they train, and it's like almost like what you would have for a kid's competition class. You know, we do the technique, but the drills are harder, and I don't give them a lot of slack. I expect them to know certain things, and we can do a little bit more technical stuff. But I tell them if they stay for the regular kids class, I tell them this all the time. I was like, I'll pull them, and I'll be like, what's your job today? And they're like, I know to lose. Yes, you're going to lose in this class because they're so much bigger than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So the little kids love it because they can take them down and, strangle them and stuff. So it's pretty fun. But yeah, so I have my regular kids class that's like 6-ish to 10, and teens goes from 11 to 15. And so, but everybody's allowed to go to no-gi days, Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So
I think we do a similar thing.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, Brendan teaches kids on Wednesday, and I have a fundamental no-gi class for adults on Wednesday. So while he's teaching the kids, I'm in the other room with the adults. But I think that all the kids can go to Brendan's no-gi class. Oh,
that's cool.
I'm not 100% on that, but
yeah,
it seems like I've seen him there where I'm like, you're one of the little ones. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
But
On Nogi days, when this kid Wyatt, he's one of the bigger kids. He's like, "Hey, coach, do I have to lose today?" I'm like, "Nope, not today." He's all excited. He gets all excited. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's rewarding. You know. And it's probably the more challenging thing I've ever done in my life.
Dude, it is. It really is. I had a lot of days where I was like, man, I might have to tell Paul, like, I can't teach the kids. And I'll have to work something else out. Or dude, I had some days like that, a couple days where I was like, this might be my last day teaching these guys.
Yeah,
because it would piss me off so bad.
I turned over the little guys to Tiffany, and they've been responding to her, but sometimes they push the limits.
Yeah,
right?
they just have their days, and they've been good lately. Like I said, they're all well, it's very repetitive. So they got their drills down. It took a while to figure out the structure, like how they even learn. Because at my school in Tucson, I didn't have little kids. It was actually, it started 5 and up.
Okay.
And then I had to change it. I just made it 7 and up.
Yeah.
Because I was getting like a 5-year-old, but then like all the other kids in the class were like 10 and 12 and stuff like that. And so it just was 2 separate.
And where do you draw that line, right? I mean, you got to draw it somewhere.
They couldn't like roll together. They could barely drill together. The 5-year-old just wants to like, play a game. These other guys are too old for that. So it needed to be 2 separate classes. And I tried to make it that way. Like 2 kids classes, little kids come, you guys are first and the big kids later. But the ones that were already signed up, the parents were like, well, we can only bring our kid to the later class. Yeah. And it would be like a young one. Mm-hmm. So it was just so hard to manage just by myself too.
Sometimes you got to say no, man.
So I just made it 7 and up.
Yeah.
And really, I didn't even have a lot of 7-year-olds. They were like, a lot of the kids were like 9 and 10, and they were kind of easier to work with. Yeah. So the class was like not a lot different than the adults class. Just warm up drills and do rounds. We'd play games, but not the way that the little kids do. Yeah. Where you like everything, you have to try to make it a game. Yeah. Like even like doing our drills down the mat, I set these little rubber circles. Yep. And I placed a green one. I'm like, this is the start. This is where you go. Yeah. And then I place a red one. I'm like, that's stop.
Where you stop.
Yeah. It's like everything is like has to be kind of organized for a kid.
So I did this thing that I totally stole from this guy online. He's Kimura is a Kimura something school. It's not like Kimura Novaniao, it's different. But this guy has like all kinds of games for the kids. So we do like little obstacle courses and stuff. Nice. But he did this one where you put like a red dot, the ones that you're doing, and that's your foot. Okay. And then you put a purple one in front of that. That's for your knee. Okay. And then you put a red one to the left of that. That's for your foot.
Oh, so like doing a double leg?
Yeah. And then you put a red one where they have to hop across and land on it on one foot. So they're doing this little game, but they're learning how to do a double leg takedown. Yeah. Okay. And then after several times of doing this, over the course of a week or maybe 2 weeks, now I'll put a person, because little helpers, that my teens help me. Yeah. I would put a person there, and I was like, okay, remember, red dot, purple dot, red, and then I said, grab the legs and then jump to the last red one, and they do it, and they're so they're all laughing and stuff, but they're learning a takedown.
Yeah,
that's a good way to teach them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Smart thinking.
But getting them to put their
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like we should do that with the adults.
Sometimes, and they would be appreciative of that. Yeah. If you dumbed it down that much for them, because I think the intimidation that people feel kind of overwhelms them, and they don't listen to what you're saying. You know what I mean? When you're like, yeah, take your hand, put it here. Your right hand. That's your left
nervous.
hand. Yeah. They're so nervous and now like, oh shit, Ramsey's talking to me, right? You know what I mean? And they get that feeling like, oh, I want to do this right. It's okay to screw up, Yeah. But it's, never in the history of people has anybody relaxed by being told to relax.
Right.
Not even your wife?
No, not even my wife. But actually, that's one of her sayings. But and it just comes with time, right? That's why it takes a while.
I had that happen the other day where I was like walking someone through a move, and I'm like, no, grab it with your left hand. And they're like doing the right hand like a bunch of times. Yeah. I'm like, no, dude.
Your other left hand.
Your other hand. Yeah. And I'm like, that's your right hand. I'm talking about the other one.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like they're just nervous, or for some reason they're not listening clearly, because they're probably like, they got something else going in their mind. Like, oh, I think I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I tell my coaches, like, you are walking into the room as the subject matter expert, right? You're already interesting. And especially if you got a black belt on, you're already interesting. But if you can show them that you're interested, they just calm down.
Right.
Like, if you're really interested in them, they calm down. Like, hey, what's your name? All this stuff.
Yeah.
And they relax a little bit. It's when you walk in and you know you're the resident expert and you treat them like it. That's when they kind of shut down, and that's when they get nervous. So you got to really show interest in their learning, right? In the learning of process of jiu-jitsu, and let them know, like, hey, we practice here, right? So we don't screw up outside those doors, right?
Yeah.
So
I try to break. I mean, that's like I think it's part of like the culture that your class that anybody builds in their class. Like if you build that like idol worship style of class, I think that's when you get those students who are nervous to talk to their coach.
Yeah.
Right. But if you teach them like, hey, I'm just another dude that does jiu-jitsu. I've just done it longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Just started before you.
Yeah. That's because I'm like, what do I call you? Sensei, coach,
Yeah.
master? I've had that question before. I'm like, call me Tojo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I do like sensei, actually.
Yeah, you like sensei?
It'd be okay.
Yeah.
No one calls me that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, get away. And every once in a while you run into like some old school people who are like, they'll turn away from you when they're tie their belt because, you know, it's more respectful or whatever.
My kids do that.
I'm like, I don't care.
No, the kids do that. Here's the thing. I like to teach people etiquette, not because I'm overbearing. It's because if they go to your school one day or your class one day, I want to make sure that they address you properly. I want to make sure they bow in and out. I want to make sure that they're being, showing that respect for the facility, right? And it starts with us, right?
Sure.
At our school. That's why,
Some
of
that etiquette needs to die.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that it needs to.
We'd have to get into specifics on that. I kind of like all of it. I think it's all good still.
Yeah.
I mean, bowing on and off the mat, I do that always.
100%.
I like all that stuff.
Yeah. Did I tell you? I'm sure I didn't tell you. I've told him. We bought we got a travel trailer that we take to Mexico.
Okay.
And being in Mexico, we're on the beach, and being on the beach, you get sand all over the place, right? So you got to sweep it constantly. So Amy sweeps the trailer up, a little area, and she goes down the steps, shakes the little thing off, and then comes back up, kicks her sandals off, and she bows.
Dude.
into the trailer.
Dude, I have done that going like into a store, like through a door. I don't know what it was, but I just did that. And then,
You're like, oh, you idiot.
and dude, my friend, and one of my students in Tucson, a great friend of mine, Jordan, he told me he met a guy, he's a car salesman. And when he met him and went to shake his hand, he did our, like that. He did like a little bow, and then the guy was kind of like, huh? What just happened right there?
Oh my gosh, that's too funny,
and then
man.
He had to be like, I fucking do martial arts.
Indoctrinated.
He slap bumped him.
He did a little bow, slap the thighs.
A slap and a hug.
Dude, he told me that. I was dying laughing, and I'm like, I wish it was like viral. Like if you guys had a little security camera.
That would be so great.
And
and
the funny thing is, this was a long time ago, but I do remember this. AJ Agazarm made like a joke, like a parody.
Yeah.
It was a reel of him, and he was on Instagram, and he's bowing in and out the elevator, and just shit like that, Just he's kind of saying like that, like it happens on accident when you do that. Like,
Did you see Issa's video when he was like front rolling and stuff
in the
grocery store?
Yeah, he's wearing the gi.
Yeah. Who says you can't go out in your gi?
That's one thing I don't do. I live like so close to the school.
Yeah.
I could just make my life maybe easier. Just put on my gi and drive over there in the gi. But
I only do that.
Way.
I only do that when I'm going to Paul's open mats. Number one, I don't need to get gas because it's so close. And number two, it's so hard to find a spot to change.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be easier if I did that, but it's just something about it. I've always just disliked that.
I remember the reason I don't, because I remember being like a blue belt or something, and Aaron made fun of some guy for Aaron Wilson
wearing all his shit.
Something like, he's a white belt because he came to class dressed out. I was like, okay, I will never do that.
It makes sense in its own way, but it kind of is just reminding me, and like I don't like talk about like military stuff that often, but when the guys would go out and they would just wear the Army PT shirt. Or guys would go out with their boots, and they're going out to do something. They're going out to the bar, or they're going out whatever, and they're wearing jeans, but they have their stupid
Their army boots. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you don't wear that shit out.
Well, are they trying to be like, I'm in the army?
Yeah, like you wouldn't have guessed. Like,
If
look at your
anything-
stupid fucking haircut and your dog tags, like we all know, and look where you live and look where you're at. Like we know you're in the army.
Yeah.
You and everyone else here.
Yeah.
If anything, you need to wear your reflective sash. The army was notorious for that. Like that's going to protect you from a tank running you over. They would always wear that. It's like a reflective
little clip, like a little strip, and you just clip it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what wearing the gi is kind of remind me of. We're just that, like people wearing their PT clothes when they're not doing, when they're not working.
When I was in the Navy, our day-to-day uniform was so awful that they wouldn't let you wear it anywhere but the base. You could wear it in your car to go home, and you walk right the hell inside. You couldn't be in a supermarket. There was all the old bell-bottoms dungarees and the blue shirt. No, we were not. They're so hideous that they would they hid us from the world. You couldn't pump gas with it. Nothing. If you pump gas on base, you're good. But once you leave base, you got to be
your
in
village people outfit.
Oh, it's awful. But worse than that. I dug that outfit, by the way. The dress blues. There's nobody better dressed than the man in his dress blues, my friend.
There was rules about if you were wearing the uniform, like you couldn't. What the fuck was it? There was a lot of stuff. Couldn't have your hands in your pockets.
Right. Couldn't have the hands in the pockets. I remember that.
Couldn't talk on this. If you were talking on the cell phone, you had to stand still. You couldn't walk and talk.
Couldn't have a backpack on.
Couldn't have a backpack.
Shit like that. Yeah.
I mean, you could smoke. You weren't allowed to drink. Well, you had to wear the dress uniform to be allowed to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of rules involved.
Some of them are silly, but
and of course the hat. Like if you went into a building, the hat came off. You could not wear a hat indoors.
But you guys salute indoors, right? Army does.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
Navy doesn't salute indoors. That was a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
God, that's why can I not remember? I don't know.
Okay.
Our workspaces were weird. It was always like in a warehouse, kind of. You know, those like, where because you go out in the back and it's like where all the trucks are and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like we were inside, kind of.
And I'm sure
you felt like you were in a garage always.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being underway, like, you know, on a deployment or whatever, like there's different rules when you're underway. Like you don't wear a hat ever, you know, stuff like that. So and you can't find the goddamn thing when you need it when you come back.
Because you had it gone for so long.
Think of how this was the tricky part. You're holding stuff, and then you got to go through a doorway to go inside. So you got to like manage to take your hat off and put it in your pocket while you're like holding. You know, it's just like always
silly
inconvenient.
things.
It's just inconvenient.
Yeah.
I mean, that's whatever, but.
Yeah.
What the hell were we talking? Oh, wearing the gi in the car.
Wearing the gi in the car. Yeah. Or no, wearing the gi in public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hate like, like before class, I guess it's not a big deal, but it's just like, I don't think the gi is particularly comfortable in normal circumstances.
Well, I don't know what the hell kind of gi you're wearing because my gi kicks ass. Shout out to Roll Union.
So sweaty.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I'm not gonna wear it after.
After class,
way.
you just feel disgusting. Like
so gross.
Sitting in, you're just like
you can't wear that.
You feel like you're getting your whole body's clammy at that point because you're like cooled off, and you're like, nope, I need to be out of this.
It's gonna stink.
Yeah.
No way. Can't do that.
No way.
So that's kind of, I guess, part of it.
Yeah.
But before class, I don't necessarily see a problem with it. I just
so I had a student, Trisha, and Trisha shows up for day one by herself, and she's got her gi on, her belt tied. She's walking through the door, and she's saying hello to everybody like she's been there for 6 months. I got so insecure. I was like, oh shit, what's her name? Like, you know what I mean? Like a student, like I should know.
You thought she's been there for a while.
Yes. Right. I was like, she must have joined. She owned the room, like from one end to the other. She's like saying hello to everybody.
She's the one that just got her black belt at your last promotion? Or blue belt, sorry, not
No. Trisha had to, she had to quit.
Oh, okay.
But it was a long story, but great kid. She's probably 30, but everybody's a kid to me. But I went over and I'm like, hey, I'm very embarrassed. I don't remember your name. She goes, oh, you shouldn't. It's my first day. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank God. But speaking of people that just wore her gi, like she owned it, dude. It was like her confidence.
Don't you know the trick
awesome.
though? You're like, hey, Sierra, go ask her name.
No, I do that sometimes. Or I'll introduce them to Amy. I'll be like, oh, it's my wife, Amy. And then, oh, I'm whomever, you know, so yeah.
Nice. Now I got it.
I do feel, okay, well, you've already heard my first day where I showed up in the khakis and stuff. That was, funny now, but very stupid at the time. But in today's world, with how we just read reviews and we research everything, I feel like that's what I would do now. Like I would already, okay, what gi am I allowed to wear?
Yeah.
I'd start shopping for them. I
Yeah.
would read. I would be prepared.
Yeah.
Well, I would know what Jiu-Jitsu was too. Like
Well,
I said, I didn't even know what it was.
I don't know that people know to ask what kind of gi to wear unless they've trained before.
No, that's just a question. Like maybe it wouldn't come to your mind.
I feel like
Yeah.
most people on their first day come in like athletic wear.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
should. I have had students like that would come to the school, and they actually it's like what I was saying. I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was, but this was a little different. We didn't really have like you didn't look up stuff so
Right.
much.
Yeah.
It's just part of our culture now. We research and the reviews and everything. But anyway, they didn't know what jiu-jitsu was at all. They were wondering about are we breaking boards? They just had no.
Yeah.
They just didn't know.
No,
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
don't need gi to break board.
It's just interesting to me because I'm like, man, didn't you kind of like think to look it up a little bit? Or I'd be like, no, what we're doing is like wrestling, and they're like, oh shit.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, I'm looking up everything, and
Yeah.
I always use it as an example, like, plan on buying a bicycle so I can just ride to the school,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna really look into it and know exactly what I need and what I want. So
Get
when
a
I go,
fixie.
So when I go to the bike store,
Don't get a fixie.
Get a fixie.
I'm not gonna be like
Get a hybrid.
I don't want to be like one of those like customers that just knows nothing.
Yeah.
where they gotta
Right.
be like, dude, you know.
You'll end up spending $3,000.
Yeah, or buy something that's wrong. You know.
Yeah.
It's just easier for me, easier for them. I
Yeah.
go in there. I'm
Talk
like,
to Dave Thomas.
Yeah.
I see.
That's a great.
He shares
Yeah.
like there's a bike store like just about across the street from where I live.
Yeah, he
and
worked at
he like
Global
shares
forever,
their it's global.
Yeah.
Yeah. He shares their stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook.
He would lead an A group, on a bike ride, on like group rides.
Mhm.
I could never keep up with an A group, so he's got to be like really strong on a bike.
Oh damn! I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've talked to Dave before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When he's completely high and he's still talking a mile a minute.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I've never seen anyone consume that much THC in my life.
He has
And
energy for
And live.
Yeah, yeah.
You tried.
That was by accident. I took 100 milligrams once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Have you ever taken an edible?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've overdone it before
Yeah.
on accident.
Yeah. So I couldn't sleep. It was
By
the middle of
that
the
much?
night.
Dude, I don't. The fucking things all got melted together, and so it was hard to know the portion.
Like, yeah, fuck it. This seems right. Gulp.
yeah, it's like a little piece.
Yeah. No, it was the middle of the night, and my son had given me some samples from the distributor. What do they call it? Distillery?
Yeah. No.
Dispensary.
Dispensary. Yeah.
And that he got and he was like, I remember I'd had it for a while, you know?
Yeah.
But I couldn't sleep, and my freaking pack is empty. I'm like, damn it. So I'm like, oh, I dug it out of the thing, and I opened it up and gulp. I just ate it. Chewed it up and ate it. I go back to sleep, and I'm like, that would seem like a lot. You know? So I went back to check, and it was 100 milligrams that I took. And by the way, I did not sleep.
And this was the day before we left for Worlds.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't right until we got to Vegas. Like I just sat like a zombie in the front seat. It was bad. It was really bad. So don't do it, boys and girls. Don't do it.
Unless you can. Like Dave. Dave's like, yeah, I would have taken 2.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
He's a superhero.
The
Yeah.
time when I overdid it was it was fun at first, honestly, but I just had the day off. I was just chilling at home, and I was gonna get some stuff done.
Not anymore.
This will be whatever. I don't even know what. I don't know why I even.
You just took a chunk
I
like
just
out of
took
an
'em.
apple.
You know, I was just
Glump.
like, I'll just maybe relax or something, whatever. And I'm doing stuff around the house, and I'm upstairs in our bedroom, and I'm vacuuming. And dude, I'm in like a time warp. I thought I had been vacuuming for 3 hours, maybe. And then it made me laugh.
The same spot.
Yeah. And then I was like laughing my head off. I was like, holy shit, I've been doing this all day. I've just been vacuuming. And because I had the thought that I was doing that.
Yeah.
So it made me laugh. Like it was like, oh my God, how crazy. And then my wife like came up and was like, what is going on up here? And I was like, how long have I been doing this? And she's like, oh, just the normal amount of time, like 1 minute. You know, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like I was all fucked up, you know, and everything was just a real fun time for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I started to feel kind of like paranoid, kind of even like nauseous, just all the wrong things, you know.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I want this to go away now.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm taking a shower.
But you're along for the
I'm
ride.
taking like a cold shower. I was like drinking a cup of coffee. Like I thought that was supposed to help, or I don't know. I was like trying to look
Pepper,
it up.
black pepper.
Well, I had to go.
Is that a thing?
That's what I've heard. It may or may not be
Dude,
true. I've never tried it.
I don't know. Well, we had to go over to my grandparents' house it was actually, now I think about it, it was New Year's Day, so they had a dinner and stuff and go over there, family get together, you know. And I'm like, I can't go. Like, I don't want to go. I'm not right. And so, I wasn't having fun anymore. Like I said, I was feeling all fucked up. So I just went over there and was like, I'm just going to try to act normal. Maybe they're not going to notice. So I just didn't say much for a long time.
Yeah.
But damn, that was yeah.
I just turned into a vegetable.
Little
I
bit
take
fun,
like a little
but-
too much. I just like, I can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
Whoops.
that was a bad night.
Sounds like it.
See,
Yeah.
that's why I like either like vaping it or smoking it, because it's just like
Yeah,
you can. It's just all right. You got a half hour to an hour, and you're gonna mellow back out. An edible, it's like
you're along for the ride.
hold on to the ground.
Yeah,
Right. Like, I
you're
didn't know
along for the
how
ride.
long I was going to be feeling that way. It was starting to like make me just paranoid,
Yeah.
kind of, because I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is ruining my whole day. And
Yeah,
Are you gonna get demonetized because we're talking about weed?
I don't know. I'm not monetized, so
Well, you guys are the ones that are
What
like,
do I
oh, you
care?
can't have alcohol. But we do.
this is all
excuse me.
allegedly.
Alleged. Yeah.
Alleged. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean, it may or may not have happened. Right?
this is all hypothetical.
All hypothetical.
We just went off track. We were talking about training too much or being too busy, and then we just took a turn.
Yeah.
But
That's what you're supposed to do. Well, we were talking about Dave, and
Yeah.
Dave always leads to marijuana usage.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
only
he has a
know
great
this.
story. I wish he would share it, but I can understand why he wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great story.
Danny's the other one. Danny like smokes like fucking like meth weed.
Oh God.
It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like
Let's
just,
not put him on blast, dude.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't talk about it.
No, I want to talk about what they want to talk about. Like I told Ramsey, you can share as much or as little as you want. You run the show right now.
Thank you, I do.
Well,
No, you don't.
it seems I might be one of the only people I know that doesn't smoke weed. I feel like everybody does.
Yeah.
And you know what? I realized this long time ago when I was a kid. I feel like I busted my family members smoking weed, and I'm like, holy shit! Like when I'm a little,
Yeah.
I went into my uncle's house one time, and he was like hiding this pipe under the table, like, hey.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I know what you're doing. Holy shit. I was like 10, I was probably 10 or 12 or something.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, damn, everybody's smoking weed.
Well, I remember when I found out. So, like my older brother, he's my half brother on my dad's side. He was kind of like estranged a little bit from their family, and then like shortly before I turned 21, we reconnected via. It was either MySpace or Facebook. I can't remember at that time, but it was like that, which was kind of cool. But we were talking about like old family stuff because my father passed away from cancer when I was 10. So I was a kid. I was a little kid, and my brother David was telling me how like our dad was a pothead, and I was like,
You're like, what?
I never even fucking noticed because I'm just a dumb 10-year-old.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't even think I knew what weed was. I mean, I remember doing Dare. Remember the?
Oh yeah, of course.
But I'm like,
yeah.
really? It's not like you know what a high person really looks like,
no.
right? And I was like,
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
I think my dad was high a lot
Yeah,
because I remember we used to sit and me and my little brother would sit in the bed with my dad and we'd watch Star Trek on TV. And my dad was probably stoned off his ass when we were doing
One
that.
thing I don't do is I don't do it outside of the house.
Yeah.
I won't. I just don't. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything.
I rarely do it outside. Yeah, it's basically like bedtime.
Yeah.
That's like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think most
Yeah.
of the guys I know or the people I know.
Yeah.
But it is funny to think about. Well, especially when you're a kid because the laws have changed. So back then it was very secretive. You know, you're doing.
Of course.
You're
You're
doing
breaking the law.
drugs
You're
or
doing
whatever.
drugs.
Doing
So,
drugs. That's so funny.
I remember this happened. I think I was in maybe 4th grade, and a good friend of mine was talking about somebody broke into their house. And I'm like, holy shit, this is like insane. Like, why would they do that? Like, because we didn't live in a bad neighborhood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, did they like steal your TV? And he's like, no, they stole all my mom's like really expensive tobacco. And dude, I knew.
Oh,
I was like,
shit.
I'm like, That's not tobacco. Like, bro.
Oh, I bet your mom was pissed though.
I bet your mom was really fucking pissed. But
These days, you'd be like, "Oh, they probably stole her tobacco." It's like $15 for a pack of cigarettes now.
It is. Dude, it is. I don't understand smokers, dude.
No
because
way,
that
man.
is an expensive habit. That might as well be heroin, dude.
That makes
like,
no sense.
No, it's an expensive habit.
Weed's cheap and cigarettes are expensive.
Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
That's wild.
Wild. Switched.
And now it's like socially acceptable to be a pothead.
Oh yeah.
Or at least smoke weed. And now like people are, if you're a cigarette smoker, you're almost a pariah. Like, who wants to be around that guy who smokes cigarettes?
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah.
I don't like rolling with people that smoke.
You know what's funny is I actually really like the smell of a smoker.
Oh,
really?
I don't like the smell of people like while they're smoking, but like you smell a person, you like, oh, you're a smoker. You can smell that smell on them because my grandparents smoked a ton of cigarettes
when you were growing up.
So now that smell of a person who smokes is just like, it's a good smell to me.
Yeah, I guess I
still
I
disgusting.
I know what you're saying at least now because my grandparents smoked too.
Yeah.
I did have
my grandpa shit himself a lot. I still don't.
I love the smell of shit.
I love that smell. Brings back a memory.
Good times.
Dude, I have a really good friend that I train with in all of my white and blue belt days. And this guy did continue to smoke all through doing jiu-jitsu. And like, dude, he would go out, he would step outside and smoke between rounds and stuff.
Oh,
dude,
shit.
For real. For
That's
real.
a
He would do that.
warrior
He just
right
kept,
there.
and I'm like, and then he would say the times when he would try to quit smoking, he felt like his cardio was like worse. He would say like, I don't know.
Sounds like he's just making excuses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that makes any sense, but he said
Yeah.
like it felt like he was having more trouble when he was quitting smoking, like breathing cardio wise and stuff.
Sure.
Well,
Bud.
it's like those old people that they interview, right? Oh, you're 108. What's the secret? Smoke cigarettes, drink bourbon, eat bacon. Roger that.
Man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
if you're the outlier, the one out of 1,000 people who can do that,
But he's 108.
the rest of them
Yeah.
die of lung cancer and
Heart disease.
yeah.
Depends on the person, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my great grandpa lived, I think, maybe 95.
Okay.
And he smoked, and I think he drank. I don't know how much he drank, but I think he drank beer every day. Like,
Wow.
had a beer,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's, who knows, man.
Yeah, see, my family, we're polite. We die at a reasonable age. Amy's family lives to like 98.
Yeah.
I think her grandma passed away after her 99th birthday, like a month after.
Wow. Almost 100.
Dude, she was driving at like 96,
I think if I got to
97.
like
That was my great grandpa.
driving?
Whoa,
Dude,
really?
I remember being in the car.
No, she didn't drive well. So
Yeah, and neither did he.
Okay,
neither did he. I was in the passenger seat because, dude, he would drive to the river and go fishing. In the 90s, dude. And I do remember, he had a big property. There was like other little houses and sheds and crap on his property. But I remember being in the car when I'm like a kid, and he would just like back up and just like, we just hit stuff. That's just how he would like put it back into drive. He'd just like clunk, and we just like hit.
Far enough.
I look back, and it's like a stack of,
Guess I can't go through that.
it's like wood pallets, or it's just like a stack of shit.
That's just a honeybees. Fuck
Did he
'em.
drive like a big old truck though?
Subaru.
No
Really?
kidding.
Yeah, he drove a Subaru, and it was
No
just like
kidding.
a good fishing vehicle.
Because I do that too. I'm like,
all-wheel.
there's nothing behind me that I can't hit.
Bump.
Yeah, dude, that was something. He kept doing
Yeah.
that like into his 90s. Going down.
Wow.
It got to a point though where my grandma was like telling him, because this was my great grandpa, so she's telling him like, yeah, you can't just like go to the river by yourself anymore, because he would get. Like one time, I think he kind of went into the water and got kind of stuck in there, had a hard time like climbing out, and it was like a big deal. But it was like, okay, not alone anymore. You can't just go check your lines and stuff by yourself.
So then it was like, Ramsey.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Yank him out?
I loved going on those fishing.
Now we're
little
both
fishing
gonna
trips.
drown.
Would he wear like the big rubber boots and stuff when he went?
I think he would do that.
Yeah,
I never
that's cool.
I never did that, but
Yeah.
that was fun, man. Catfish. We were always catching catfish. That
Yeah.
was, like,
Yeah,
the
man.
thing.
I never got into fishing. I know everyone knows I do all the hunting stuff. I can't get into fishing.
I enjoy it. I enjoy fishing. I grew up fishing, like shore fishing in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
So we would actually swim out this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. Well, I've done stupider, but this is pretty stupid. You
did start jiu-jitsu at 40. That's pretty stupid.
You swim out to a sandbar and you cast your line out, right? And sometimes we'd swim back and just hang out on the shore, but sometimes we'd stay on the sandbar. And you know what a leader is? Like you catch a fish and you hook it onto the thing. It's like a series of hooks on a chain basically,
okay.
and you go through the So we would hook it on our belt, right, on our belt loop, and then you have your fish hanging off of there, right, because you're fishing. You're not near a cooler. You're on the sandbar.
You got to bring them with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're swimming back because the tide's coming up. We're swimming back with dead fish hooked to us. Yeah. And it's the ocean. There's sharks there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, thinking back, it's like, what the
And this is in the Gulf, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a Gulf of Mexico.
Boy.
Yeah. And what the fuck was I thinking? But we used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Not smart.
Only lost one friend.
Dude.
I have most of my fingers. Yeah.
Oh, man. The stuff you do when you're younger, though. It's...
Stupid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we all survived.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Look at us
kids nowadays won't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What's it like growing up in Montana? I'm assuming you grew up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up there. I grew up in Billings, which is like the biggest city there. I think.
Is it the cap? What's the capital of Montana?
Capital is Helena.
Helena, that's right.
And I was born there. Then we moved to Billings.
It's the only hospital in the entire state.
In the
yeah,
state.
they had to drive me there.
Yeah. Covered wagon takes you to the hospital.
Let's see. I think Billings. I would have to look into this again now, but it might have 150,000 people.
Yeah.
Or it might be 200,000 nowadays. I'm not sure. So, not big compared to like here.
Yeah.
But it is big there. But Montana's a little weird too because the state's so big, but it's very spread out.
It's very empty.
So people are like, oh, well, like I think maybe Tim Welch is from Great Falls, I think.
Okay.
Or Butte or somewhere.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, oh, did you know Tim? And I'm like, nah, dude, that was like 5 hours away.
Yeah.
So it was like, I knew of him.
It's a huge state.
But we weren't driving and training, like cross training, like back then, like at all.
Yeah.
A little bit. I did drive to Bozeman, like where we're talking about where Cron Gracie has the school now.
Yeah.
There was like a Gracie Baja school in Bozeman.
That's where the college is too, right?
Yeah. It's like a college town. So I went to Bozeman a few times for training, but that was maybe 2 hours, I think, if I remember right, or 2.5 hours or something like that.
So where Bozeman is, where in relation to that, where is Billings?
Billings is like the kind of eastern part of the state.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe, but still it's big. So like maybe from Billings, if you're going more east, it might still take you, God, I'd have to look into it a little more. It's definitely over 3 hours to get to like the next state, North Dakota.
Right.
So stuff's like not, it's just not close.
And it's a big state.
So you didn't really go to all these other places to train with them or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just growing up there, like you were asking, was a lot of people were into hunting.
Yeah.
A lot of skiing and snowboarding. Just a lot of outdoor stuff. So the thing is, what I did was skateboarding before I did jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, man, even in the winter, we would figure it out. We would go to parking garages. We'd go downtown and go into parking garages.
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
a great idea.
We'd have to figure stuff out like
Mhm.
that and try to keep skateboarding as much as possible. Or sometimes you knew the weather was going to warm up a little bit, so you'd go and shovel an area.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's going to warm up enough to melt and it'll be dry maybe.
Yeah.
That's what it was like in
day.
Minnesota too. Yeah.
Were you in the generation where they started building like skate parks and stuff like that? Okay.
They did build one downtown in Billings, I think my freshman year of high school.
Okay. So a little later in your,
Yeah. I think maybe 8th grade. Probably 8th grade now,
Okay.
thinking about it. But what they did was they made a law. No skateboarding allowed in a business district.
Oh, wow.
So now you could not be skateboarding like any downtown, like where all the good spots were that we like to go.
Hashtag skateboarding's not a crime.
Dude, I got a citation and they took my skateboard and I never got it back. And my mom had to go to court with me and we had to pay a fine. It was like $100 for skateboarding at like a Wells Fargo.
But you never got your board back?
No.
Even after you paid the fine?
I don't remember what happened there.
That's tyrannical.
Never got it back. And so that's because they had the skate park, and they're like, we built up skate park, and that's where you go now. And,
I'm sorry, I thought
I
this
was on my way.
That's what I think.
I was on my way to the skate park.
But dude, the thing about it, what every skateboarder kind of feels is like the skate park is training to go to the street.
Yes.
Like you skate on these stairs or grind this rail here, and then you find like the real one in the streets, and that's more fun.
Dude,
it's just like the real deal.
I love the eat shit videos for skaters.
Yeah,
Those are my favorites.
Some of them are hard to watch.
I mean, because you lived it. I didn't, so I just laugh, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they eat shit.
Hey,
bad.
I watch Jiu-Jitsu injuries all the time too. I love all of it.
He was what were the one that you were watching? I think the same
You're going to
injury.
be way more specific.
I think the same injury
today.
you
I watched
got.
10 hours today.
He was sending me videos of like people tearing their LCLs. I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, check this out. And you hear this like, you know, when they were doing the moves, like, oh, bleh. Yeah. And I can't handle that stuff.
You should see my algorithm.
So bad.
Dude,
that's porn and
dude, I hate if you ever see like where their tibia breaks or whatever, that's like the worst. And that's in MMA and kickboxing and stuff too. That's like the worst.
Yeah.
Thing. And you see that sometimes in those skateboarding videos, and it's just like, oh my god.
You see their like leg kind of
it's
flopping.
Like,
there was a snowboarding video where a guy, he was doing this like long jump and he was jumping across something, and it was like a ramp to launch and a ramp to land.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit it. And then I think they said like they went to grab some food and the sun came up and it kind of melted a little bit, and he did it again.
The snow got slower, yeah.
And when he hit the other side, he hit the edge of it and broke both of his ankles.
Oh man.
Yeah, broke both of his ankles.
Yeah.
Like
Nasty.
that was.
There's this video
wild.
where it's a snowboarder followed by a guy in like basically like a snow scooter.
Uh-huh.
And they basically just send this big jump, this big air jump, this big booter, and the guy in the scooter like clears the landing. And I'm talking a big jump, and you see him hit, and his legs
like he lands to flat.
basically,
Oh,
yeah.
he
And
clears,
just
like-
he like bails like because he realizes he's like, oh, I went too far,
Way
so he's
overshot
like
it.
trying to hopefully like roll when he hits the ground, but his legs break. And
Oh,
Gross,
so
dude.
bad.
Yeah, that stuff's hard to watch.
So bad. Yeah.
it doesn't look as bad on snow, and then you see like, oh, he broke his leg or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, because in snow you have like all the gear on, so you don't really see like the legs flopping around like you do like in a skateboard video when someone breaks their arm or something.
Like a jiu-jitsu one.
Yeah.
One guy I trained. This is a viral video that's from like the scissor takedown.
Yeah.
There's a guy I train with in Salt Lake City, and that video gets shared a lot. He's a big ass dude. He's like a fucking bodybuilder. And he tried to do like that scissor takedown on someone, and it like snaps their leg.
folds
and it's
his
so
leg in half.
gross.
Yeah.
It makes a sound, I think, from what I remember in the video.
Ugh.
And I was like, oh, there's that guy. I could say his name. His name is Kent, but it was an accident. It was an accident.
Shout out to Kent.
I think. I mean, I don't think he purposely meant to do that.
No, I'm sure you don't go in with the
It's a
attention.
hard one to do
it's
right.
Like, dude, Kent, you're fucking like 220 pounds, and you're just a solid. Like, I don't know. That's a weird move for you to do.
So did he win then?
Hell yeah, he won.
Yeah.
That's a verbal tap.
Dude,
Oh my God.
Submitted
so
him.
the thing about this guy, this is interesting. He would do like, the choke where you grab the gi and you hide your own hand. Like you usually do it inside the close guard.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that?
Wait, not an Ezekiel choke.
No, it's like an old school move. You would be in someone's close guard. You grab their gi like this. You grab their other lapel, their other collar, and you kind of just punch them in the neck and hide your hand.
Oh,
And it was like a thing that people would do to try to make you open
your guard. Yeah, it's almost like
try to arm lock.
yeah, and they're stacking you while they're doing it.
Yes. What the heck's it called?
I don't know.
Whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Can you visualize?
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Kind of like a bully choke.
Yeah.
It is, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't really work.
No.
But dude, Kent would do that move. I saw him tap people. They would have mount on him. They would be on top mount, and he'd reach up and do that to them.
There's that half guard choke too.
Was it just like
power,
sheer strength?
Just strength. Like they couldn't get off the
They
mount. They couldn't get away.
Kent can pull it off.
because you're pulling them in with this hand, and this hand's punching. And
I'm eating my words. It works,
dude. Well,
If you're big enough.
Yeah.
So I've never like gone to sleep from a choke. I just tap or whatever. I've never had that happen. But he did that to me one time, and I didn't want to tap. I was like, fuck this, because it's like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I was in his closed guard, and like, so yeah, that's the other thing. I wasn't doing it to him, which is normally how it is. I was in his closed guard, and he was just reaching up and doing it to me. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm not like, it just seems stupid, like wrong. Like I'm not going to have to tap to this.
Yeah.
And I did tap, but it was like, I'm on the verge of like going out.
Oh, shit.
So I was
Okay.
very dazed. Like
Yeah.
I tapped out, he like let it go, and I just kind of like slumped over and just kind of like stared off, you know? He's like, you ready? Like, let's keep going or whatever. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I was like confused about it. I'm like, what
Yeah.
You like
happened?
brown
here?
out.
Yeah.
Just like barely,
Wow.
Oh,
barely
man.
kept it together.
I did also one time, this was like the same feeling where I'm so confused. I was running through the fire station when I was working at the ambulance company, and someone had left like a cabinet door open, and it was a door that like flipped upward like this. So it wasn't like a normal cabinet.
Yeah.
It came like up.
Yeah.
So it was like a horizontal piece, perfectly head level for
Oh,
me.
no.
And it was an odd time of the day where like the sun was setting and the way that we were facing. So when I went, I was just running through the garage and the door was open. The sun was shining in, so I couldn't even see. I was just running through there real quick to go grab something. And I just drilled that thing like so fucking hard on my head. And it took me down, like it dropped me. And I was like on a knee, just out of nowhere though. Because I didn't even realize I hit that.
Yeah.
It like dazed me so
Yeah.
bad that I was down on a knee. I was like, what is going on? Like, did I just get shot? I'm like, why am I down here? Like, or am I having like some kind of a stroke or something?
Yeah.
And then I see blood. There's a pool of blood forming. I'm down on one knee and there's a pool of blood forming on the ground. And I'm like, I couldn't like figure it out. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then I like started to kind of come together like, oh, I hit my head. Like, yeah,
shit.
yeah, that sucked. And then I'm like, I'm working too. And so I have a huge gash right in the front of my head and then on my forehead. And then like they don't want to report that as an injury because
Right.
it's wrong that they left the thing
Yep.
like that. So then
It's a
they're
reportable injury, though.
like, because I'm like, maybe I need to go. Maybe you guys got to take me. I need stitches. And they're like, nah. Like we'll just give you these Band-Aids. And like the fire crew just like didn't even help me at all.
Wow.
And so then I'm doing the rest of my shift with the big ass like butterfly Band-Aid or whatever.
Yeah.
That like, you know, and then it's so annoying because all we do is like take people to the hospital. So then when we wheel them in there, the nurses are like,
What the
oh,
fuck
maybe
happened to
you're
you?
the patient.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I got shit for it. Like all the rest of the,
Yeah.
dude, that was rough.
You're
man.
like, yeah, also the concussion I just got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm also
Yeah.
like, I probably shouldn't be the one driving this fucking thing. Like also, you know, with lights and sirens and going through red lights and doing,
Oh, my gosh.
you know, yeah, I probably did have a concussion because dude, it dropped me down and I was so fucking confused.
If you didn't know what happened, you almost definitely had a concussion.
I guarantee it.
like
Yeah.
I didn't at the moment. You know, it took a while to kind of piece it together, but that was something, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never gotten hit in the head that hard. You have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He headbutted my knee once.
That wasn't my first concussion, though. Yeah, so I headbutted his knee, and I landed on his knee, and he didn't get the hell out of the way. Someone's showing a move using me, and he just sat there.
So they like swept you or something.
Bam!
Like,
Yeah, I didn't see him, right? Because I got swept like towards
Oh.
him, and I just landed back of my
you
head.
just sat-
That's actually not what happened.
I was
who are you going to
messed
believe?
up.
The guy with the concussion?
I was messed up for like a month, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was messed up.
Dang, man.
Yeah, and all I could say was like, I'm concussed. That's all I could fucking get through my head. I'm
Dude.
concussed. Yeah, yeah,
That was funny, though.
yeah. The worst concussion I ever got was in flag football.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got hit, and I don't remember. I started running towards the wrong sideline. They're yelling at me. I was like, oh, okay, that's the wrong way.
It's like kid soccer.
Yeah, yeah. It's like bad. That's the worst concussion I ever got. Flag football. Can you believe that shit? Yeah.
Well, I had one when I was a kid too. I had a tree in my yard that was near we had a deck, and we tied up a rope, and you could jump from the deck and grab that thing. So you had to,
Yeah.
jump and catch the rope, and then you'd swing because of the momentum.
Yeah.
So it was so fun. But one time I just fucking missed it, dude, and I just like flipped and landed on my back, didn't break fall. Just fucking hit the back of my
Yeah.
head. And
Yeah.
dude, that time, I don't actually know all the details about that one because I just woke up.
Because you were concussed.
Yeah,
you
dude,
were
like-
fucked up.
Like, I don't know if I went to the hospital, honestly, or what, but I just like woke up in the house and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like not what I remember. Like, you know what I mean? I lost some time here. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't get up and walk right in there, I don't think.
Who am I?
Yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. I'm not
So
outside
bad.
anymore. Yeah, that was like third grade.
Wow.
Whoops.
That'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, man, we've been going for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Yeah. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. But before we go, let's give a shout out to your sponsors and also let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize it's been so long.
No, it's
we were talking about
great.
Jiu-Jitsu for so long, and then we started.
This is a short episode.
We'll have to cut some of this weird shit.
No, hell no.
So on social media, my Instagram is just at Ramsey Green, and Facebook same. Let's see, that's it. I'm not on the other ones. I think those are the only two.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm teaching and training at Paul School, Aries, Arizona. Every day of the week, you can pretty much find me there. So.
Okay.
And then my sponsor.
If you want to fight him.
Yeah.
Fight him.
That's how it feels sometimes. And then my sponsor is Day by Day Jiu-Jitsu. So this is a company that I'm wearing their a 10-year anniversary shirt. They started in 2013, and that had just formed through a friend of mine, a training partner of mine in Salt Lake City. His older sister went to high school with the owners of this company, and they were living in San Diego at the time. So Day by Day is owned by AJ Mendoza. He is a black belt under Helson Gracie, but he's in Hawaii now. So the company's more based out of Hawaii. But his brother Tim Mendoza does a lot for the company too, and he's in San Diego. He is a black belt under Leticia Ribeiro. Okay. So and then they have a third. There's another brother too, Jeremiah. And he is a black belt and trains. He's under Rodrigo Freitas.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. All three of the brothers are black belts under just different teams, but it's all good. They train together and everything like that. So that's just through that kind of that friendship there. And then when they first started, it was like, we'll send you some T-shirts or whatever, and then tag us on your Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that. And then it just went from there, and then they started making the gis. And so, it's been like 10 years of wearing their stuff.
Wow, that's cool, man.
And I think
that's
there's a Ramsey Green coupon code.
Oh, yeah, is there?
There is. If you use Always Forward, just one word, Always Forward.
Very cool.
It's a little discount code on the website for gis and everything, no gi stuff. So.
And they look nice. They're good gis.
Yeah, great gis.
Yeah, thanks. And big thanks to AJ. He really supports me with so much gear and so much stuff, So, and that's been going on for quite a few years. So it's just like a continuous support. So
that's so cool.
Really appreciate him.
Yeah. All right, everybody. If you love the podcast or if you hate the podcast, leave us a review. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. The website is coming up. We're actually have a guy that's going to build our website. So I'm very
saying that for like 10 years.
I'm very proud. No, we've only been on the air for a year. But I've been saying, don't go to the website. It sucks. But I got a guy that's building the website, so you'll be able to support the podcast there. I want to thank BioPro Technologies. Please visit them and get you $30 off your first order if you use the promo code Foxcast. Ramsey, thank you so much for doing this, brother.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex.
All right.
Thanks, Tojo, for joining us.
Yes, of course. Always my pleasure.
I'll see you on Monday night.
All right, see y'all. This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code Foxcast at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code Foxcast for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.